Have you ever stopped to truly listen? Not to the world outside, with its endless demands and distractions, but to the world inside. Have you ever listened to the sound of your own mind? If you do, you might hear that it is not a quiet place. It is a room, a vast chamber filled with echoes. The echoes of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties, the booming voice of self-criticism and the faint whispering ghosts of praise you can no longer trust. It is a cacophony of conversations that have already ended and arguments you are rehearsing for a future that may never arrive. In the midst of this relentless noise, have you ever asked, where is the sound of me? Where is the simple, unadorned truth of my own being, beneath the layers of conditioning and fear? You feel it as a profound weariness, a fatigue that sleep cannot touch. It is the exhaustion of a soul adrift, a ship with no anchor, tossed on the relentless waves of its own thinking. You have tried to silence the storm, to fight the waves, to shout over the noise, only to find the storm grows stronger, the waves grow larger, and your own voice is lost in the chaos. But what if the way out is not to fight? What if the path to peace is not to add more noise, but to discover the silence that was always there, underneath? This is an invitation to step out of the storm and into a different kind of space. A sanctuary, not a place of escape, but a place of homecoming. We are not here to wage another war against your mind. We are here to lay down our arms. We are here to walk to the threshold of your own inner world, to stand before the door to that quiet room, and to simply, gently, allow it to open. You do not need to force it. You do not need to fix anything. You only need to give yourself permission to be still and to listen for what has been waiting for you, in the profound healing power of the silence within. This journey is about remembering a language you have forgotten, the language of stillness. It is the beginning of your return to yourself. We begin by entering that room you know so well, the one we spoke of earlier. Let us give it a name so we may understand it. Let us call it the echo chamber of the mind. It is a space built without hands, its walls constructed from the bricks of memory and mortared with the cement of belief. Its architecture is unique to you, yet its design is universal. Look closely at how it is made. The foundations were laid in your childhood, from words you absorbed and experiences you could not yet process. Each significant event, each moment of intense joy, shame, or fear, added a new corridor, a new resonating surface. A harsh word from a parent became a load-bearing pillar of self-doubt. A failure became a recurring ghost that haunts the hallways. A success became a golden statue you now feel you must endlessly polish, terrified that its luster will fade. This chamber was not designed with malicious intent. In its origin, it was a survival mechanism. Its purpose was to learn from the past, to replay mistakes so they would not be repeated, to anticipate threats before they materialized. It was meant to be a library of lessons, a strategic map, but a tool used for too long, in the wrong way, becomes a prison. The librarian has become a warden, and the map has become the territory itself. The mechanism, designed for your protection, now perpetuates your suffering. It operates on a simple, powerful principle: repetition. A thought, once thought, carves a faint pathway in the mind. A second time, the groove becomes a little deeper. 1,000 times, and it becomes a canyon, a deep ravine that your awareness travels down automatically, without conscious choice. This is why you find yourself replaying the same worries, the same criticisms, the same fears, day after day. You are not choosing to think them. You are simply falling into the well-worn grooves of your own mind. It feels like you, it sounds like your voice, but it is an automaton. It is a program running on old code, a recording stuck on a loop. And the most insidious part of this chamber is that it has convinced you that its walls are the edges of reality itself. It has made you believe that the echoes, are your identity. This creates a profound and exhausting conflict within you, a silent civil war. A part of you, the deeper, wiser self, yearns for silence. It craves the open sky, the clean air of the present moment. It knows, on an intuitive level, that freedom lies outside the chamber's echoing walls. This part of you is what brought you here, what seeks out moments of peace, what feels a pang of recognition when hearing truths about inner stillness. It is the prisoner who remembers what sunlight feels like. But there is another part, the part that has become accustomed to the prison. It is the ego, the constructed self, which finds a strange comfort in the familiar chaos. The noise, as painful as it is predictable. You know its rhythms, its cadences. The voice of the inner critic is cruel, but it is a constant companion. The anxiety about the future is agonizing, but it gives you a sense of purpose, a problem to solve, a dragon to fight. There is a deep, unconscious fear of what would happen if the noise stopped. If the echoes faded, what would be left? The silence feels like a vacuum, a void. You fear that if you stop wrestling with your thoughts, you will discover a terrifying emptiness at your core. You fear that the truths you have been drowning out with the constant noise will finally surface, demanding to be seen. Perhaps the truth that you are in the wrong job, the wrong relationship. Perhaps the truth of a deep, unhealed wound from your past. The ego resists silence with all its might, for in true silence, the ego cannot exist. So it creates more noise, more drama, more problems. It convinces you that your suffering is important, that your story is who you are. And so you remain, torn between the soul's desperate desire for freedom and the ego's terrified addiction to its chains. You stand at the cell door, key in hand, afraid to turn it, because the prison has been your home for so long. Here, in this moment of tension, is where the first ray of light penetrates the chamber walls. Here is the truth that can disable the entire mechanism. You are not the echoes. You are not the thoughts, the fears, the memories, or the judgments. You are the space in which they happen. You are the silence that allows the noise to be. This is a distinction of profound importance. Imagine you are listening to a radio playing a frantic, sorrowful song. You are not the song. You are not the melody of despair. You are not even the radio itself. You are the listener, the one who is aware of the music. The music can be chaotic, but the awareness that hears it is, by its very nature, silent and still. The thoughts are the weather stormy, cloudy, sometimes sunny, but you are the sky. The sky is not damaged by the storm, nor is it improved by the sunshine. It is the vast, unchanging, ever-present container for all weather. To realize this is to shift from being the character in the dream to becoming the dreamer himself. It is the beginning of waking up. The power is not in changing the thoughts, but in shifting your identity from the thought to the awareness behind the thought. When you believe you are the echo, you are its slave. When you know you are the space in which the echo occurs, you are free. The echo may still sound for a while, out of pure habit, but it no longer has power over you. It is just noise, occurring in the vast, peaceful cathedral of your own awareness. Let us use another image. Your mind, in its natural state, is like a perfect mirror. Its purpose is to reflect reality just as it is, without distortion. But over the years, the dust of experience has settled upon it. Each judgment is a speck of dust. Each fear is a layer of grime. Each resentment is a smear that warps the reflection. Soon, the mirror is so covered that it no longer reflects the world. It only reflects the dust. You look into it and believe that you are the grime, that you are the distortion. You see a flawed, ugly image, and you think, that is me. The spiritual journey, the path of inner stillness, is not about trying to create a new and better mirror. The perfect mirror is already there, beneath the layers. The work is simply the gentle, patient, and compassionate act of clearing the dust. It is not an act of aggression. You cannot scrub the mirror clean with violence, for that would only scratch its surface. You must do it with the soft cloth of loving awareness. Each time you notice a thought without believing it, you wipe away a single speck of dust. Each time you feel an emotion, without letting it define you, you clear a small patch of grime. You are not trying to get rid of the dust. You are simply bringing the light of your attention to it, and in that light, it begins to dissolve, revealing the brilliant, pristine surface that lies beneath. You are restoring your mind to its original condition, its birthright, to be a clear and flawless reflection of life. This clearing process begins not with a grand effort, but with a small, simple act. The practical application of everything we have just discussed is a practice we can call acknowledge without judgment. For the next minute, I invite you to try this. Just 1 minute. Sit quietly, close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and simply allow the mind to do what it does. Do not try to stop it. Do not try to achieve silence. Simply be the observer. As a thought arises, instead of following it down the rabbit hole, just gently place a label on it. As a wave of worry about a deadline washes over you, simply say to yourself, worrying. You do not say, I am worried. You say, worrying is happening. You are noting the activity. When a memory of an old embarrassment appears, you label it, remembering. When the mind starts judging your ability to do this exercise, you label it, judging. The tone is not harsh. It is gentle, almost scientific, like a birdwatcher noting the birds that land on a branch. Ah, a robin. Now, a sparrow. You do not chase the sparrow away. You do not try to cling to the robin. You just note its presence and let it fly away on its own. Do this for 1 minute. In this simple act, you are performing a revolutionary shift. You are stepping out of the stream of thought and sitting on the riverbank. You are moving your identity from the echo to the listener, from the dust to the mirror, from the clouds to the sky. You have begun the work. You have identified the nature of the chamber, and you have just used the key for the first time. The door has opened a crack. Now, we must learn to consciously choose to step through it. You have stood at the threshold of the echo chamber and recognized its nature. You have held the key of awareness and felt the first draft of fresh air from the world beyond thought. But to see the door is not the same as walking through it. To know that freedom exists is not the same as claiming it. The next step requires more than passive realization. It requires a choice, an act. In a world that is engaged in a relentless war against quiet, choosing silence is the first, and perhaps most profound, act of rebellion. It is a declaration of independence for the soul. Consider the environment in which you live. It is an architecture of interruption. From the moment you wake to the moment you sleep, you are a target. Your attention is the prize, a commodity to be mined, captured, and sold to the highest bidder. The phantom buzz in your pocket. The endless cascading river of updates, opinions, and images on your screen. The 24-hour cycle of news designed to keep you in a state of low-grade anxiety. Every spare moment, every gap in your day, is seen as a vacuum to be filled. Waiting in line, walking down the street, even sitting in your own home, these moments are no longer spaces for reflection, but opportunities for consumption. We have been conditioned to believe that silence is boredom, that stillness is unproductive, that to be alone with our own thoughts is a form of punishment. We have been programmed to fear the void, and so we fill it with anything we can find, no matter how trivial. This addiction to stimulation is not a personal weakness. It is a cultural hypnosis. Your brain, a magnificent organ of adaptation, has simply learned to crave the constant drip of dopamine that comes from novelty and distraction. The result is a mind that has forgotten how to be with itself, a mind that feels agitated, restless, and deeply uncomfortable when the noise is taken away. Choosing silence, therefore, is a radical act. It is pushing back against the entire current of modern life. It is saying, "Number, this space is mine. This moment is not for sale." This rebellion does not happen without a fight. The moment you decide to unplug, to carve out a small island of silence for yourself, an internal battle commences. The first wave of opposition is the pervasive fear of missing out. A part of your mind will scream that you are falling behind. While you are sitting in silence, others are networking, hustling, learning, achieving. The world is moving on, and you are being left behind. This is the voice of the collective anxiety, the ghost of the industrial age that whispers, "Time is money, do not waste it." This feeling quickly morphs into a form of guilt. You feel you should be doing something else. Answering that email, planning your week, cleaning the house, consuming that content you saved for later. The mind will generate 1,000 seemingly urgent tasks to pull you away from the perceived emptiness of doing nothing. It feels indulgent, even selfish, to simply sit. This is the inner taskmaster, the conditioned part of you that equates self-worth with productivity and connection with constant contact. It cannot distinguish between the deep, restorative act of being and the empty state of idleness. It sees your attempt at stillness as a threat to its very existence, because its identity is built upon doing, achieving, and responding. This inner conflict is the friction between your soul's deep need for peace and your ego's conditioned need for validation and activity. It is a necessary struggle. It is the detoxification process of a mind weaning itself off a powerful drug. The discomfort is not a sign that you are doing it wrong. It is a sign that the medicine is working. Here we must challenge our most fundamental definition of silence. We have been taught that silence is a negative space, an absence of sound. But this is a profound misunderstanding. True silence is not empty. It is full. It is the fertile ground from which all authentic creation springs. It is the vast, dark soil where the seeds of insight, clarity, and wisdom can finally germinate, away from the scorching, relentless sun of external noise. Imagine a composer. He cannot write a symphony in the middle of a screaming crowd. He must retreat into the silence where he can finally hear the music that is playing within him. Imagine a physicist. She cannot solve a complex equation while listening to 100 different radio stations. She must find a quiet room where the scattered pieces of the puzzle can finally cohere into a unified whole. Your life is no different. Silence is not a lack. It is a presence. It is the space of pure potentiality. It is the canvas upon which the masterpiece of your life can be painted with intention and clarity, rather than being splattered with the random paint of other people's demands and expectations. When you voluntarily remove external input, you are not depriving yourself. You are giving yourself the greatest possible gift, the opportunity to receive the wisdom that is already within you. You are allowing your own signal to become clear, no longer jammed by the static of the world. Let this image guide you. Your everyday mind, caught in the storm of stimulation, is like the surface of the ocean during a gale. It is all chaos, crashing waves, wind, and noise. It is impossible to see what lies beneath. The act of choosing silence is the decision to take a single, deep breath and dive beneath the surface. The initial plunge is disorienting. There is a moment of pressure, a sense of being submerged. This is the discomfort, the anxiety, the mind's initial resistance. Your instinct might be to thrash your way back to the surface, back to the familiar chaos of the air. But if you hold your nerve, if you allow yourself to descend, something miraculous happens. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. The violent motion of the waves fades into a gentle, rhythmic swaying. The roar of the wind is replaced by a profound, muffled hum, The harsh light of the sun is filtered into a soft, deep blue luminescence. Down here, in the heart of the ocean, there is an ancient, eternal stillness. You can see with a clarity that is impossible on the surface. You can feel the powerful, slow-moving currents that guide the entire ocean. You can hear the sound of your own heartbeat, the rhythm of your own life. This deep, internal world is always available to you, but you can only access it by making the conscious choice to dive beneath the turbulent surface of your daily life. So let us perform our first act of rebellion. Let us take our first dive. Your task is not to calm the entire ocean. It is simply to commit to 5 minutes of silence. That is all. 5 minutes. Find a time and a place where you will not be disturbed. It could be in the early morning before the world awakes, or in your car during your lunch break. The location is less important than the intention. Set a timer. Turn your phone off completely. Do not just put it on silent. Put it in another room. Close your books. Turn off the music. And for 5 minutes, simply sit. Your only job is to be present in the silence and notice what happens. Notice the immediate impulse to reach for a distraction. Notice the phantom limb of your phone. Notice the parade of important thoughts that march through your mind, demanding your attention. Notice the feeling of restlessness in your body. Your mission is not to fight these things. Your mission is to witness them and to stay. Stay with the discomfort. Stay with the boredom. Stay with the urge to flee. Let these feelings be the waves on the surface, while you are gently sinking into the depths beneath them. In these 5 minutes, you are not wasting time. You are reclaiming it. You are teaching your nervous system, cell by cell, that silence is safe. You are demonstrating to yourself that you are not dependent on external validation or stimulation to feel whole. You are taking back the keys to your own inner kingdom. This small act, repeated daily, will begin to rewire your entire being. It is a vote for your own sovereignty. You have stepped out of the echo chamber. Now, as you sit in this newfound chosen silence, you will become acutely aware of a constant, rhythmic companion that has been with you since birth. It is the rise and fall of your own chest. It is the gentle current of your own life force. To go deeper on this journey, you must learn to befriend this rhythm. You must discover the power of the anchor of your own breath. You have made the rebellious choice. You have plunged beneath the noisy surface of the world and entered the sanctuary of a chosen silence. As you sit within this newfound quiet, the external clamor fades, and for the first time, you begin to hear the subtle symphony of your own inner world. The first instrument you will notice, the one that has been playing ceaselessly since the moment of your birth, is the gentle rhythm of your own breath. It is a sound so constant, so fundamental, that you have learned to ignore it completely. It has been the background music to your entire life, the unnoticed soundtrack of every joy, every sorrow, every mundane moment. Now, in the silence, it steps forward. This is not merely a biological process of oxygen exchange. This is the physical manifestation of life itself flowing through you. It is the most direct, tangible connection you have to the present moment. Your mind is a relentless time traveler. It can journey back decades in an instant to relive an old humiliation, or it can leap forward into 1,000 different imagined futures, generating anxiety about events that may never occur. This is the source of almost all human suffering, our inability to remain in the only moment that is ever real, the now. But your breath cannot time travel. You cannot breathe in the past, nor can you exhale in the future. The breath is always, and only, now. It is a physiological tether to reality. To bring your awareness to the breath is to pull the mind, sometimes kicking and screaming, out of the phantom worlds of yesterday and tomorrow, and to plant it firmly in the soil of the present. It is the bridge between your scattered, chaotic mind and your grounded, present body. It is the needle that stitches the two back together into a unified, coherent whole. As you attempt this simple act of returning to the breath, you will meet a formidable opponent, your own mind. The thinking mind, the ego, which has been the ruler of your inner kingdom for so long, does not relinquish its power easily. It will rise up in protest, deploying a host of arguments to convince you that this practice is a waste of time. This is too simple. It will scoff. Breathing? I've been doing that my whole life. How can this possibly solve my complex problems? It will insist that there are far more important things to be doing. Bills to be paid, emails to be answered, strategies to be planned. It will parade your anxieties before you, dressed up as urgent, non-negotiable tasks. The mind thrives on complexity and problem-solving. It needs something to chew on, something to analyze, something to fix. The sheer, naked simplicity of watching the breath feels insulting to it. It is like asking a master chess player to do nothing but watch a single pawn. Boredom will arise. Restlessness will fill your body. An intense impatience will build. A desire to get up and do something productive. You must understand this resistance for what it is. It is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that the practice is working. You are directly challenging the mind's addiction to control and its monopoly on your attention. Each time you notice the mind's rebellion and gently return to the breath, you are weakening the ego's grip. You are teaching it a new way of being, one where thinking is a tool to be used, not a tyrant to be obeyed. The inner conflict is the friction of transformation. It is the necessary fire that forges a new relationship with yourself. In the midst of this inner struggle, hold on to this truth. Your breath is the most powerful, reliable, and accessible anchor you will ever have. Imagine your life as a vast, unpredictable ocean. Your emotions, your circumstances, the actions of others, these are the weather. Sometimes the sun shines and the water is calm as glass. Other times, without warning, a violent storm erupts, with towering waves and howling winds that threaten to capsize you. You cannot control the weather. To believe you can is the height of arrogance and the source of immense frustration. You are not the master of the ocean, but you can have an anchor. An anchor does not stop the storm. It does not calm the waves or silence the wind. Its function is far more profound. The anchor holds your ship steady within the storm. The waves may crash over the deck, the winds may tear at the sails, but the anchor keeps you grounded, preventing you from being smashed against the rocks or swept helplessly out to a boundless, featureless sea. Your breath is this anchor. When a wave of anger or fear rises, you drop the anchor. You turn your attention to the simple, physical sensation of the inhale and the exhale. When the winds of anxiety about the future begin to howl, you drop the anchor. You bring your focus back to the rise and fall of your own chest. The storm still rages, but you are no longer lost within it. You have found your center, your point of stability. This anchor is a gift. It costs nothing. It is utterly portable, available to you in a boardroom meeting, a traffic jam, or in the dead of night. It is the one thing that will be with you from your first moment to your very last. It is the most profound tool for resilience you will ever possess. To deepen this understanding, feel your breath not just as air, but as a rhythm, a pulse. It is the microcosm of a universal law. Your breath is the tide, happening within the small ocean of your own body. The inhale is the flood tide, the surge of life, drawing the world into you, bringing energy, oxygen, and nourishment. It is an act of receiving. The exhale is the ebb tide, the release, the letting go of what is no longer needed: carbon dioxide, tension, waste. It is an act of surrender. Inhale, receive. Exhale, release. This is the primal rhythm of all existence. Stars are born and they die. Galaxies expand and they contract. Seasons turn. The universe breathes, and you are breathing with it. When you fight your breath, holding it in tension or breathing in a shallow, agitated way, you are fighting the very current of life itself. When you consciously choose to follow your breath, to feel its natural, unforced rhythm, you are aligning yourself with this vast, cosmic intelligence. You are no longer a swimmer struggling against the tide. You become the tide. You are carried by a power far greater than your small, struggling self. This is not a passive surrender. It is an act of profound wisdom, of recognizing that true strength lies not in resistance, but in intelligent cooperation with the forces of life. By focusing on this simple, natural rhythm, you are stepping out of the frantic story of your personal dramas and into the timeless, majestic dance of existence itself. Let us put this into practice now, in this very moment. There is no need to change your breath. Simply observe it. Become aware of the physical sensations. Feel the cool air entering the tip of your nostrils. Follow its path down your throat, into your chest, as your lungs expand. Perhaps you can feel your belly gently rising, a sign of deep, relaxed breathing. There is a brief pause at the peak of the inhalation, a moment of fullness. Then, witness the turn, the gentle surrender of the exhale. Feel the warm air as it leaves your body, carrying with it what is spent. Notice how the shoulders soften, how the jaw might unclench. You are just watching. When the mind wanders, and it will leap to a memory, a plan, a judgment. Do not scold it. Do not feel frustrated. The moment you realize you have wandered is a moment of pure success. It is a moment of mindfulness. In that moment, simply and gently, without any drama, guide your attention back to the breath. The practice is not about achieving a perfectly still mind. The practice is the act of returning. It is the training of a gentle, persistent, and loving attention. Each return is a repetition that strengthens the muscle of awareness. Each return is a compassionate act of self-care. Each return is you picking up your anchor and dropping it once more into the calm depths of the present moment. You have now found your anchor. You have discovered a place of refuge that is always available. With this newfound stability, you are no longer a helpless participant in the mind's drama. You are now in a position to become its wise and compassionate witness. From this anchored point of stillness, you can begin to observe the ceaseless weather of your mind without being swept away by it. Having found your anchor in the constant rhythmic tide of the breath, you are no longer a vessel tossed helplessly in the storm of your own mind. You are grounded. You are stable. From this newfound point of stability, you can now do something truly revolutionary. You can lift your head and calmly observe the weather. You can watch the ceaseless parade of thoughts and feelings as they move across the landscape of your awareness, not as a victim caught within them, but as a wise, impartial observer. This is the shift from unconscious reaction to conscious observation, and it is here that true freedom begins to dawn. Before this point, you have been living in a state of fusion with your thoughts. You have been laboring under a profound case of mistaken identity, an error so subtle and pervasive that it has defined the entire structure of your reality. The error lies in a single, powerful word, I. When a wave of sadness arises, you say, I am sad. When a flash of anger appears, you say, I am angry. When a thought of failure crosses your mind, you say, I am a failure. Notice the grammar of this prison. You are not saying you are experiencing sadness. You are claiming sadness as your very identity. You equate the passing mental event with the totality of your being. This fusion gives the thought immense power. It transforms a fleeting, insubstantial flicker of energy in the mind into a solid, heavy, concrete fact. A transient cloud becomes a mountain. This is how thought perpetuates suffering. A thought of worry arises. By identifying with it, I am worried, you generate the feeling of anxiety in your body. This anxious feeling then generates more worried thoughts, which you again identify with, creating more anxiety in a self-perpetuating downward spiral. You become trapped in a feedback loop fueled by your own unconscious identification. To break this spell, you must learn to see thoughts for what they are, not facts, not commands, and certainly not you. They are simply mental events, arising and passing away like all other phenomena. This act of simple observation is, however, directly opposed to your lifelong conditioning. The mind has two primary, deeply ingrained habits when it comes to dealing with its own content: engagement and resistance. First is the habit of the analyst. The analyst believes that every thought is a puzzle to be solved or a message to be deciphered. When a thought of worry appears, "What if I lose my job?" the analyst immediately grabs it. It wrestles with it, explores every possible negative outcome, formulates counter-arguments, and develops contingency plans. It believes that by thinking more about the problem, it can control it. But the act of engaging with the worried thought is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It gives the thought energy, attention, and importance, causing it to grow larger and more persistent. The second habit is that of the judge. The judge instantly categorizes your thoughts into good and bad. When a good thought appears, like a moment of confidence or joy, the judge tries to cling to it, to hold on to it, fearing it will disappear. When a bad thought appears, like jealousy, resentment, or a dark fantasy, the judge is horrified. It tries to violently push the thought away, to suppress it, to deny its existence. "I shouldn't be thinking this," it declares, creating feelings of guilt and shame. But what you resist persists. The act of pushing the thought away gives it a powerful counterforce, embedding it even more deeply in your psyche. Both the analyst and the judge, the one who grapples and the one who resists, are engaged in a futile struggle. They are treating thoughts as solid enemies or precious treasures, when in fact they are as substantial as smoke. The inner conflict you feel is the tension between your soul's yearning for peace and the mind's compulsive, deeply ingrained habit of mental intervention. To dissolve this conflict, we introduce a new paradigm, a truth embodied in a simple, powerful metaphor. You are the sky, not the clouds. Let this image settle deep within your being. Your true nature, the awareness that is reading these words, is like a vast, open, boundless sky. It is inherently peaceful, clear, and spacious. It has no color, no shape, no limits. It simply is. Thoughts, on the other hand, are the clouds. They drift through the sky of your awareness. Some are light and wispy, like fleeting daydreams or random bits of information. They pass by almost unnoticed. Some are big, white, and fluffy clouds of happiness, joy, or creative inspiration. They are beautiful to behold. And some are dark, heavy, ominous storm clouds. These are the thoughts of fear, grief, anger, and despair. They can seem to fill the entire sky, blocking out all light and threatening torrential rain. As a human being, you will experience the entire spectrum of clouds. No one has a sky of permanent sunshine. But here is the secret. No matter how dark the storm, the sky is never harmed by the clouds. The sky doesn't become angry when an angry thought cloud appears. The sky doesn't become depressed when a sad thought cloud lingers. The sky does not try to push away the storm clouds or desperately cling to the fair weather ones. It maintains its own nature, vast, silent, and open, and allows all clouds to come and to go in their own time. Your work is to shift your identification from the cloud to the sky. When you feel a storm of anxiety brewing, you can say to yourself, "Ah, the weather of my mind is becoming stormy today. A cloud of anxiety is passing through the sky of my awareness." By doing this, you create space. You are no longer the storm. You are the vast, unshakable space in which the storm is happening. From this perspective, you can have compassion for your own storms, knowing they are temporary weather patterns, not the truth of who you are. To bring this metaphor into a living practice, let us use another visualization. Imagine yourself sitting peacefully on the grassy bank of a wide, gently flowing river. The sun is warm on your skin, and the only sound is the soft murmur of the water. This river is your stream of consciousness. It is the flow of your mind. Now, turn your gaze to the surface of the water and simply watch. Every thought that arises in your mind is like a single leaf that appears on the river's surface. A memory from your childhood is a leaf. A worry about a future event is a leaf. An item on your to-do list is a leaf. The judgment that you are not doing this exercise correctly is also just another leaf. Your sole task is to sit on the bank and watch the leaves go by. You do not have to do anything. Simply notice a leaf as it appears. Watch it float past you and see it drift away downstream until it vanishes from sight. You will feel a powerful temptation. When a particularly interesting or frightening leaf comes by, a leaf of intense anger, a leaf of deep regret, your habit will be to want to jump into the river. You will want to grab that leaf, pull it out of the water, and examine it from every angle. You will want to understand where it came from and where it is going. Your practice is to resist this urge. Your place is on the bank. Let the river flow. Do not dam it up. Do not try to change its course. Do not try to fish out the leaves. Just watch. In this practice, you are training your mind in the art of non-attachment. You are learning that the nature of thought is to be transient. It arises, it exists for a moment, and it passes away if you let it. By staying on the bank, you are cultivating the calm, steady, and spacious nature of the sky, allowing the river of your mind to purify itself. This practice of observation, of being the sky and watching the clouds, is profoundly liberating. It does not mean that difficult thoughts will cease to exist. Storm clouds will still gather. The river will still carry painful memories. The liberation comes from the fact that they no longer have the power to define you or to command your state of being. You find a spaciousness within you that was previously unimaginable. You realize you can feel deep sadness without being a sad person. You can experience intense anger without being an angry person. You have a choice. You can find peace not by winning the war with your mind, but by recognizing that you were never a soldier in the first place. You are the battlefield itself, vast and untouched by the conflicts that play out upon it. As you become more adept at this, as you rest more and more in your identity as the sky, you will begin to notice something else. You will notice the subtle inner flinch when a dark cloud appears on the horizon. You will notice the grasping desire when a beautiful cloud floats by. You will become aware of the entity within you that has preferences, that judges the weather, that reacts to the leaves on the river. This reactive, constructed sense of self, with its deep-seated fears and desires, has a name. It is the ego. And to take the next step on this journey into stillness, we must turn our compassionate awareness toward understanding its nature, its function, and its ultimate dissolution. You have learned to watch the clouds of thought drift across the sky of your mind without being carried away by the wind. You have witnessed the storms of anxiety, the gray clouds of sorrow, and the fleeting white puffs of joy. But a deeper question now arises, a question that echoes in the space you have created. If you are the sky watching the clouds, then what is this persistent sense of I that feels the rain, that longs for the sun, that believes it is the storm? We have arrived at the very center of the labyrinth, the throne room of the inner tyrant. We have come to face the ego. The ego is not an enemy. It is a survival tool, a necessary ghost that helped you navigate the world. It is the name you were given, the memories you have collected, the roles you play as a child, a parent, a worker, a friend. It is the story you tell yourself about yourself, a story of triumphs and wounds, of what you like and what you despise. It is a construct, an identity built from the fragments of experience, held together by the glue of memory. It was designed to keep you safe, to create a boundary between you and the world. But for so many of us, this loyal servant has become a tyrannical master. This ghost in the machine now believes it is the machine itself. Its entire existence depends on maintaining this story, on reinforcing this sense of a separate, solid self. And its greatest fear, its mortal enemy, is the silent, boundless space of the present moment. In the stillness you are cultivating, the ego begins to starve. It has no past to feed on, no future to worry about. So it fights. It fights for its very life. This is the true inner conflict, the source of so much resistance you feel. Just as you find a moment of peace, a whisper of true silence, the ego will throw a stone into the placid water. It will dredge up an old resentment, a forgotten embarrassment from a decade ago. It will flash an image of a future catastrophe. It will generate a list of urgent tasks. It will whisper, "This is a waste of time. You are being lazy. There are real problems to solve." It creates drama because drama makes it feel real. It craves problems because in solving them, it reinforces its own importance. It needs an enemy, a grievance, a source of lack, because in the state of perfect, silent wholeness, the ego has no function. It simply dissolves. And this is the core of its most terrifying threat, the question it wields like a weapon. If you let all of this go, who will you be? If you are not your painful past, what gives you your depth? If you are not your anxious striving for the future, what gives you your drive? If you are not your accomplishments, your failures, your opinions, your relationships, what is left? The ego presents you with a horrifying image of a void, an empty nothingness. It would rather be a self in agony than no self at all. And so you cling to the familiar pain, the comfortable anxiety, the identity of the one who suffers, the one who struggles, because at least it feels like something. Let us now use a metaphor. Imagine your ego is an intricate and beautiful sandcastle you have spent your entire life building on a beach. You have crafted every tower with your memories, decorated every wall with your beliefs, and dug a moat around it with your fears. You stand beside it, proud and protective. This castle is me, but you have forgotten something crucial. You are not the sand castle. You are the entire, vast, endless beach. You are the sand from which the castle was made, and you are the boundless ocean that kisses its shores. The ego, this sandcastle, convinces you that the tide is a threat. It sees the waves of the present moment, the waves of change, of loss, of the unknown, and it panics. It believes it will be destroyed. And from its limited perspective, it is right. But from your true perspective, as the ocean and the shore, the tide is not a destruction, it is a homecoming. It is the water gently reclaiming the sand, smoothing the surface, making it whole again. The dissolution of the sandcastle does not destroy the sand, it liberates it. It returns it to its true, unlimited nature. The work is not to fight the tide or to frantically shore up the walls of the castle. The work is to shift your identity from the temporary castle to the eternal beach. So how do we do this? How do we shift this fundamental sense of self? Not through fighting, but through a simple, profound inquiry. This is the practical tool, the key that unlocks the prison door from the inside. When a powerful thought or emotion arises, anger, fear, profound sadness, instead of being consumed by it, you create a tiny space by asking a silent question. The question is not, "Why am I angry?" That question only feeds the ego's story. The question is this: who is aware of this? Or what is aware of this feeling? When a wave of anger washes through you, feel the heat in your chest, the tension in your jaw, the story in your mind of who wronged you. Then, gently, from a place of genuine curiosity, ask, what is the presence that is aware of this anger? Do not look for a verbal answer. The mind will want to answer, "Well, I am." But that is just another thought. Go deeper. Feel for the silent, witnessing presence behind the thought and the emotion. In that single moment of inquiry, something miraculous happens. You are no longer the anger. You are the awareness that perceives the anger. A space has been created. The anger is still there, but it is no longer you. It is something happening within you. You have stepped out of the sandcastle and are now standing on the vast, stable shore, watching the wave rise and fall. Practice this relentlessly. A thought of fear has appeared. What is aware of this thought? A feeling of loneliness is here. What is aware of this feeling? This question is a dissolving agent. It gently loosens the ego's grip. It is the softest, most powerful form of rebellion against the tyranny of the conditioned mind. The ego cannot survive in the light of this question, because this question points directly to the truth that lies beyond it. Your true nature as pure, formless, silent awareness. This is not an erasure of self. It is the discovery of the true self. The small, fearful, story-based self begins to thin, to become transparent, and the vast, peaceful, ever-present self is revealed. It has been here all along, just as the sky is always present behind the clouds. Life is no longer a series of threats and problems for a fragile me. It becomes a dance, a flow, an experience unfolding within the boundless container of your own consciousness. When the noisy architect of the sandcastle finally falls silent, you can at last hear the eternal whisper of the ocean. And it is in this profound silence, this emptiness of the chattering ego, that another voice, a deeper intelligence, can finally begin to speak. The throne room of the ego has grown quiet. The relentless architect of the sandcastle has, for a moment, put down its tools. In this newfound space, this sacred clearing in the dense forest of your mind, you may at first perceive only emptiness. You may feel a sense of serene vacancy, which is a profound state in itself. But listen closer. Listen with an organ of perception that is not your ears. As the noise of the conditioned mind subsides, a different sound can finally be heard. It has been there all along, but its volume is infinitely subtle. It does not shout for your attention. It waits for you to grant it. This is the whisper of intuition. Intuition is a form of knowing that exists beyond the realm of logic and reason. Your intellect, the thinking mind, is a powerful and necessary tool. It functions like a computer. It analyzes data from the past to project probabilities about the future. It dissects, it compares, it calculates. It is the mind that builds bridges and balances checkbooks, but it can only work with what is already known. It is confined to the finite library of your personal experience and accumulated knowledge. Intuition, however, is not a computer. It is an antenna. It does not calculate, it receives. It is a holistic, non-linear intelligence that provides a direct knowing, a truth that arrives fully formed, without a trail of logical steps to explain how it got there. It is the gut feeling, the sudden insight in the shower, the inexplicable sense that you must turn left instead of right. It is the wisdom of the universe, speaking directly to the universe within you. And here lies the great inner conflict, the next battleground for your awareness. The moment an intuitive insight arises, the logical mind, the ego self that has just been quieted, springs back to life to challenge it. It acts as a skeptical inquisitor, demanding proof. An intuitive feeling may tell you to leave a stable but soul-crushing job. The intellect will immediately scream, "How? Where is the evidence that you will succeed? What is your 5-step plan?" This is irresponsible. This is fantasy. A subtle feeling may tell you to trust a certain person. The mind will bring up a catalogue of past betrayals and say, "Be careful. Don't be naive. People cannot be trusted." The ego fears intuition because intuition is the voice of the unknown, the voice of the soul's true path. And this path often leads away from the safety and predictability the ego cherishes. The ego wants a map. Intuition asks you to walk into the fog with only a compass in your heart. This is a battle you have experienced countless times. A quiet, expansive feeling of yes in your chest, a gentle pull towards a new creative project, a different way of living, and then the immediate, deafening chorus of doubt, fear, and rationalization from your head. We have been conditioned by our society to trust only the head, to dismiss the heart and the gut as unreliable, sentimental, or primitive. We are taught to worship at the altar of data and to pathologize the mystery of a feeling. The core message you must integrate is this: your intuition always speaks your highest truth, but it whispers. It does not argue, it does not debate, it does not try to convince you. It simply presents its truth, a single clear note in the cacophony of your inner world. Your work is not to make the whisper louder. Your work is to make the rest of the world quieter so that you can hear it. Let us use our metaphor. Intuition is like a single distant star in the night sky. If you are standing in the middle of a bustling, brightly lit city, a city full of the traffic of anxious thoughts, the billboards of past regrets, and the streetlights of future worries, you will never see this star. You could look up all night and see nothing but an orange, polluted haze. You might even conclude that the star does not exist. To see it, you must make a conscious choice. You must leave the city. You must journey out into the wilderness of silence. You must find a place far from the artificial lights, and you must sit in the darkness. At first, you will see nothing. Your eyes, accustomed to the glare, need time to adjust. But if you remain patient, if you simply sit in the quiet darkness and wait, something magical happens. One by one, the stars appear. The distant star of intuition has not grown brighter. Your capacity to perceive it has been restored. The silence and stillness you have been cultivating are this journey out of the city. So, how do you practically tune this antenna? How do you learn to trust this inner guidance system? First, you must consciously create the space for it. This means continuing your practice of silence. It is in the gaps between thoughts, in the quiet moments of your day, that the whispers become audible. Second, you must learn to ask, and then to let go. Before you go to sleep, or as you begin a meditation, pose a gentle question to the universe, to your higher self, to the intelligence within you. It could be, what do I need to know right now? Or show me the next step on my path. The crucial part is this: you do not hunt for the answer. You release the question into the silence, like a seed planted in fertile soil. You trust that the answer will emerge in its own time, in its own way. Then, you must learn to recognize the language of intuition. It rarely speaks in full sentences. Its language is subtle. It speaks through the body. A feeling of expansion, lightness, and warmth in your chest or solar plexus is a powerful yes. It feels like opening up. A feeling of contraction, tightness, coldness, or a knot in your stomach is a clear no. It feels like closing down. Learn to trust these visceral signals above all else. Intuition also speaks through spontaneous insight. You will be doing something mundane, like washing the dishes or walking in the park, when your analytical mind is relaxed and disengaged, and suddenly an answer or an idea will drop into your awareness, fully formed and crystal clear. It feels less like you thought of it and more like you remembered it. Finally, intuition speaks through synchronicity in the outer world. You will ask a question internally, and then you will overhear a conversation, see a sign, or receive a message that directly answers it. This is the universe confirming what the whisper has already told you. Begin to build this muscle of trust with small things. When you are on a walk, ask which way you should turn. Don't think about it. Just feel for the slight pull, the sense of rightness, and follow it without question. As you build confidence in these small acts of intuitive guidance, you will find the courage to trust it with bigger life decisions. You will begin to navigate your life not from a place of fearful calculation, but from a place of graceful, flowing trust. You will feel guided. Your life will feel less like a battle to be won and more like a dance to be enjoyed. This shift from living in the head to living from the heart is not just a psychological change, it is an energetic one. You are shifting the very frequency of your being. To listen to the whisper of intuition is to begin tuning your own instrument to a clearer, higher, and more harmonious note. It is to prepare yourself to resonate with the symphony of the cosmos. You have learned to quiet the mind to hear the whisper of intuition. This is a profound shift, a move from the loud marketplace of logic to the quiet temple of inner knowing. But to hear this subtle music clearly and consistently, it is not enough to simply be quiet. You must also become a finely tuned instrument. You must learn to consciously manage the very energy of your being. We now move from the act of listening to the art of resonating. We have arrived at the understanding of your own vibrational frequency. The foundation of our universe, as both ancient mystics and modern physicists will tell you, is energy. Everything you see, everything you are, is energy vibrating at different speeds. A stone is dense, slow vibrating energy. Light is fast, subtle energy. Your physical body is a field of energy, and your thoughts and emotions are the most fluid and immediate vibrational signatures of all. They are not just abstract psychological events, they are tangible frequencies that you are constantly broadcasting out into the universe. Think of it as a spectrum. At the lowest end of the spectrum are the dense, heavy, slow-moving frequencies of shame, guilt, apathy, and fear. When you are in these states, how does your body feel? It feels heavy, constricted, cold, and tired. Your posture slumps, your breathing becomes shallow, your world literally shrinks. At the highest end of the spectrum are the light, expansive, fast-moving frequencies of gratitude, love, joy, and peace. When you embody these, your body feels light, open, and energized. Your chest expands, your face softens, your world seems full of color and possibility. You yourself are a living instrument, and your emotional state is the music you are playing. This is not just a poetic metaphor, it is the fundamental law of resonance at work. In the physical world, if you strike a tuning fork, another tuning fork of the same frequency across the room will begin to vibrate in sympathy. It cannot help but respond. Your consciousness works in precisely the same way. When you are consistently vibrating at the frequency of fear, you become a resonant match for fearful circumstances. You will notice and attract evidence to confirm your fear. You will interpret neutral events through a lens of anxiety. The universe, in its impersonal wisdom, simply matches the signal you are sending. Conversely, when you deliberately cultivate the frequency of gratitude, you become a tuning fork for abundance. You begin to notice the kindness, the beauty, and the opportunities that were always there, but were previously invisible to you because you were not on the right wavelength. This leads to a critical, life-altering truth. The universe does not respond to the words you say or the things you want. It is not a cosmic waiter taking your order. The universe responds to the frequency you embody. It responds to the music you are. You can repeat affirmations of abundance all day long, but if your underlying feeling state, your vibration, is one of lack and desperation, you are playing the music of lack, and the universe will faithfully reflect that reality back to you. It is at this point that the ego and the logical mind mount a powerful counterattack. A voice within you will say, "This is delusional, this is spiritual bypassing. How can I possibly feel grateful when my life is falling apart? How can I feel love when I am consumed by anger? It is dishonest. It is fake." This is perhaps the most important conflict to resolve on this entire journey, and the resolution lies in a subtle but profound distinction. Choosing your frequency is not about denying your present reality. It is about refusing to be imprisoned by it. It is not about pretending the pain isn't there. It is about choosing not to build your house on the toxic ground of that pain. You are allowed to feel sadness. You are allowed to feel anger. These are human emotions, visitors that come and go, but you do not have to let them become your permanent address. You do not have to let them set the keynote for your entire song. The choice of your vibration is the ultimate act of personal sovereignty. It is declaring that no matter the external circumstances, you and you alone are the master of your inner world. It is the most radical form of responsibility to accept that while you may not have chosen all your circumstances, you have absolute power to choose your response. So how do you, the musician, consciously tune your instrument? You begin with the simplest, most powerful practice, gratitude. When you wake up, before your mind latches onto the worries of the day, find 3 things you can genuinely feel grateful for. Do not just list them in your head. Feel them. Feel the warmth of the blankets against your skin. Feel the miracle of the breath flowing into your lungs without any effort. Feel the taste of the first sip of water. In that moment of pure, embodied gratitude, you are actively changing your frequency. You are striking the tuning fork of appreciation, and your entire being begins to resonate with it. This is not faking it. This is finding the deeper truth that coexists with your problems. Become a conscious consumer of vibrations. What music are you listening to? What television shows are you watching? What conversations are you engaging in? Are they vibrating with fear, gossip, and complaint? Or are they vibrating with inspiration, beauty, and love? Everything you allow into your field of awareness either tunes you towards peace or detunes you towards chaos. Be ruthless in curating your energetic diet. Spend time in nature. The earth, the trees, the ocean, they hold a steady, high and harmonious frequency. Simply by being in their presence, your own energy field begins to recalibrate and attune to their rhythm. It is the fastest way to return to your own true note. This is a moment-by-moment practice. When you find yourself spiraling into worry, stop, take one conscious breath, and in that pause, find one thing in your immediate vicinity to appreciate. The light coming through the window, the intricate pattern on a leaf, the stability of the floor beneath you. Each time you do this, you are performing a sacred act. You are the musician, stopping the dissonant chord and deliberately choosing to play a harmonious one. This is not about being happy all the time. It is about returning to a baseline of peace, of gratitude, of love, as your fundamental state of being. By doing so, you don't become immune to life's challenges. Instead, you face them from a completely different state of power. A person vibrating with fear sees a problem as a threat. A person vibrating with peaceful confidence sees the same problem as a challenge to be met, an opportunity for growth. Your vibration does not change the world, but it fundamentally changes how you experience the world, which, in the end, is the only world you will ever know. By becoming the conscious creator of your own frequency, you acquire the essential tool needed for the deepest magic of all, the transformation of your own pain. You have begun to tune your instrument, to consciously choose the music of your inner world. You have practiced gratitude. You have felt for the whisper of intuition. But what happens when the symphony is interrupted by a shattering sound? What happens when a string on your instrument snaps under the pressure of life? What do you do when loss arrives, when betrayal strikes, when grief descends like a suffocating fog? What becomes of your chosen frequency when all you can feel is the raw, undeniable, all-consuming presence of pain? It is here that we must confront the greatest misunderstanding in the human quest for peace. We have been taught to see pain as an error, a malfunction in the system, a poison to be avoided at all costs. Our entire culture is built around this avoidance. We numb it with distraction, we silence it with substances, we intellectualize it with stories, or we armor ourselves against it until we can no longer feel anything at all. We believe that if we allow ourselves to truly feel our pain, it will annihilate us. So we run, we resist, we declare war on our own inner experience. And in doing so, we unwittingly create something far more toxic than the pain itself. We create suffering. Pain and suffering are not the same thing. Pain is the clean, raw, energetic sensation of a wound. It is the direct physical or emotional signal. Suffering is the story we build around the pain. Suffering is our resistance to the pain. It is the voice that says, "This shouldn't be happening. This is wrong. Why me? I cannot bear this." Suffering is the friction created when our mind says no to a reality that already is. By resisting the clean energy of pain, we trap it inside our bodies. We do not allow it to complete its natural life cycle of arising, peaking, and passing away. Instead, this trapped energy festers. It turns into the slow poisons of bitterness, resentment, chronic anxiety, and depression. The very act of fighting the pain is what gives it its monstrous and enduring power over our lives. The path we are exploring here proposes a radical, alchemical alternative. It asks you to consider a profound truth. Pain is not your enemy. It is not a punishment. It is not an error. Pain is a sacred messenger. It is potent, unrefined, spiritual energy. It arrives in your life with a purpose: to burn away a falsehood, to crack open a shell of ignorance, to deliver a gift of profound wisdom that you could receive in no other way. The messenger is fierce, but its intentions are benevolent. It is here to remake you, not to destroy you. The only way to receive its gift is to stop running. You must turn around, lay down your weapons, and invite the messenger in. You must learn the alchemy of pain. Alchemy, in ancient terms, was the art of transmuting a base metal, like lead, into a noble metal, like gold. The alchemist did not hate the lead. He understood that the lead was the essential raw material, containing the hidden potential for gold. Your pain is this lead. It is heavy. It is dark. It feels worthless and burdensome. Your conscious, loving, non-judgmental attention is the alchemical fire, the catalyst that initiates the transformation. To practice this alchemy is to create a laboratory within your own body. The next time a wave of deep emotional pain arises, grief, heartbreak, anger, fear, this is your invitation. Do not immediately escape into your phone, your work, or the story in your head. Instead, find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Sit down and close your eyes. This is a brave and sacred act. First, instead of analyzing the pain, simply locate it. Scan your body and ask, where does this feeling live? Is it a hollow ache in the center of your chest? A tight band around your throat? A pit of fire in your stomach? A heavy weight on your shoulders? Be as specific as you can. Give the sensation a location, a shape, a texture, a temperature. This act alone begins the process. It pulls you out of the looping narrative of suffering and into the direct, raw reality of the present moment sensation. Now, you begin the alchemical process itself. You start to breathe, consciously and deliberately, into the location of the pain. Imagine your breath is a warm, compassionate light. With each inhalation, you are directing this light to surround the area of tension. You are not trying to force the feeling away. You are not trying to fix it. You are doing the opposite. You are bringing it presence. Your breath becomes a silent mantra that says, I see you. I feel you. You are allowed to be here. I will stay with you. As you do this, you must commit to the most difficult part of the practice. You must surrender the story. For these few minutes, Let go of who wronged you. Let go of what it means for your future. Let go of the judgment that this feeling is bad or that you are weak for having it. Release all of the mental scaffolding and dare to be present with nothing but the raw, pure, physical energy of the emotion itself. You are uncoupling the clean pain from the narrative of suffering. This is the point where the true alchemy begins. By meeting the raw energy with the accepting warmth of your breath, you are applying the immense loving pressure that transforms lead into gold. The sensation may intensify. This is a sign that the energy, long suppressed, is finally moving. Let it. Tears may begin to flow. Let them. They are the physical release of old, stagnant energy. A deep shudder may run through your body. Allow it. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Stay with the process. Keep breathing into the core of the sensation, holding it in a container of unconditional presence. And then, something remarkable happens. After the wave peaks, it begins to subside. The knot loosens, the fire cools, the weight lifts. In its place, a space of profound peace and clarity begins to emerge. And in this space, the gift of the messenger is revealed. The gold is forged. The pain of heartbreak, when fully met, is transmuted into a profound capacity for self-love. The pain of betrayal becomes the wisdom of setting firm boundaries. The pain of grief cracks you open to the precious, fleeting beauty of life. The lead of your personal pain is transformed into the gold of universal compassion. You have not simply survived the pain, you have harvested its power. You emerge from this practice fundamentally changed. You no longer fear your own inner world. The wound has not just healed, it has become a source of your greatest strength, a portal of deep knowing. This internal alchemy forever changes how you see the world. When you encounter another person acting out in anger, bitterness, or fear, you no longer see a bad person. You see a person carrying a heavy burden of untransmuted pain. You see their lead, and you recognize the potential for gold within them. Your judgment softens, your heart opens. The mirror of your own perception begins to clear, allowing you to see reality, both in yourself and in others, with a new and liberating clarity. You have walked through the alchemical fire of your own pain, and you have emerged with new eyes. You have learned that beneath the surface of anger lies hurt, beneath arrogance lies insecurity, and beneath fear lies a deep desire for safety. Having seen this in yourself, you can never unsee it. This newfound vision is the key to the next stage of your liberation, for you now arrive at the prison you did not know you were living in, a cell whose walls are built from your own perceptions. We have come to shatter the mirror of judgment. Judgment is the mind's default setting in a world it perceives as threatening. It is a primitive survival mechanism that has spiraled out of control. It is the incessant automatic labeling of every person, every experience, every thought as good or bad, right or wrong, worthy or unworthy. It is the inner critic that scrutinizes you, and it is the outer critic that sizes up everyone you meet. This habit creates a world of division, of separation, of us and them, and it is a primary source of the deep sense of unease that haunts the human spirit. We believe that our judgments are accurate assessments of an external reality. We believe that when we look at someone and think, they are arrogant, they are lazy, or they are foolish, we are seeing a truth about them. The deeper, more challenging truth is that judgment is almost never about the other person. Judgment is a mirror. The things that irritate, infuriate, and provoke you most intensely in others are almost always the disowned parts of yourself. This is the principle of projection. The outer world becomes a screen upon which you project the contents of your own unconscious mind. The parts of you that you have refused to acknowledge, accept, and integrate. Your judgments are a map to your own shadows. If you are endlessly irritated by what you perceive as laziness in others, it is likely because you carry a deep fear of your own capacity for inaction, or you relentlessly drive yourself without rest and resent those who do not. If another's perceived arrogance drives you to distraction, it is often because you have a disowned part of yourself that craves recognition, or you live in a state of self-diminishment. The judgment is not a clear window through which you see the world. It is a distorted, grimy mirror, reflecting back your own unhealed wounds, your own denials, your own inner conflicts. To live in a state of judgment is to be trapped in a hall of mirrors, believing you are seeing 1,000 different flawed people, when you are in fact seeing 1,000 different distorted reflections of yourself. This is a prison of one, and you are both the inmate and the guard. So why do we cling to this prison so fiercely? Because the ego loves it. Judgment provides the ego with a quick, satisfying hit of superiority and righteousness. In finding another person wrong, the ego gets to be right. In labeling someone as bad, the ego gets to feel good. It simplifies a complex world into a childish game of saints and sinners, and the ego always casts itself as one of the saints. To let go of judgment feels threatening. It feels like losing control, like becoming weak. A voice within you may protest, "If I stop judging, does that mean I must approve of harmful behavior? Must I become a passive victim?" Here we must make a vital distinction between judgment and discernment. Discernment is a function of wisdom. Judgment is a function of the ego. Discernment sees clearly. It recognizes, this person's behavior is rooted in untransmuted pain and is creating harm. It is not healthy for me to be in their presence. Discernment is calm, clear, and leads to wise action, such as creating distance or setting a firm boundary. It is an act of self-care. Judgment, on the other hand, adds a layer of condemnation on top of the observation. Judgment says, this person is bad, they are worthless, they deserve to suffer. Judgment is an act of emotional violence, and the poison of that violence always seeps back into the one who wields it. You can discern that a fire is hot and will burn you without judging the fire as morally evil. You can learn to do the same with people. The only way to escape this self-inflicted prison is to shatter the mirror. This is not an act of violence, but an act of supreme liberation through awareness. It begins with the practice of the sacred pause. The next time you feel the familiar inner sneer of judgment arising, the moment you begin to label someone, stop, catch it. Do not judge yourself for judging. Simply acknowledge it with a quiet inner nod. Ah, there is judgment. In that pause, you have ceased to be the judgment and have become the awareness watching it. You have already begun to break the spell. Then, perform this simple, powerful practice. Deliberately look for the common humanity between yourself and the person you are judging. Find 3 points of connection. They, like you, have experienced disappointment. They, like you, know what it is to be afraid. They, like you, have a deep desire to be happy and free from suffering. Feel for this shared foundation of human experience beneath the surface of their behavior. In doing this, you are dissolving the illusion of separation that the ego thrives on. You are smashing the mirror and seeing a fellow human being instead of a caricature of your own shadow. To deepen this practice, you can engage in the ancient art of loving-kindness meditation. Sit quietly and generate the feeling of warmth and well-wishing in your own heart. First, offer it to yourself. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free. Then, offer it to someone you love easily. After that, offer it to a neutral person. And finally, in the ultimate act of shattering the mirror, you offer these same intentions to the person you were just judging, the person you find difficult. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free. This practice is not for them. It is for you. It does not condone their actions. It liberates you from the toxic, corrosive energy of resentment and hatred you have been carrying in your own body. It is the ultimate alchemical act of turning the lead of condemnation into the gold of compassion. As you practice this, the walls of your prison begin to crumble. The world starts to look different. It is less irritating, less threatening. There is a newfound peace in your interactions because you are no longer at war with the reflections in the mirror. You begin to live from a place of discernment, not judgment. Your heart, once armored, becomes open and available. And as the rubble of this particular prison clears, you begin to see just how much else you have been holding on to. The judgments were the bricks, but beneath them lie the old, heavy foundations of past grievances, worn-out identities, and unmet expectations. Shattering the mirror of judgment is not the end of the work. It is the act that reveals the true extent of what must now be released. The mirror of judgment lies shattered at your feet. For the first time, you are seeing your inner world, not through a distorted reflection, but with clear, compassionate eyes. And in this new light, you see the terrain for what it is. You see the rubble of a lifetime. You see the old resentments you have carried like heavy stones in your pocket. You see the ghosts of past failures lingering in the shadows. You see the brittle outlines of outdated dreams and the heavy chains of grievances you have mistaken for treasures. The work of clearing has now begun. We have arrived at the delicate and courageous practice known as the art of letting go. To speak of letting go is to touch upon one of the deepest paradoxes of the human heart. Why do we cling so fiercely to the very things that cause us the most pain? Why do we endlessly replay the tapes of old hurts, nurse ancient grudges, and build our identities around our deepest wounds? The reason is that the ego, the sense of a separate self, prefers a familiar identity of suffering over the terrifying boundlessness of an unknown freedom. The story of your suffering, the narrative of how you were wronged, the saga of your struggles, these have become the central pillars of the person you believe yourself to be. To let go of them can feel, to the ego, like a kind of death. Who am I, if not the one who survived that terrible event? Who am I, if not the one who was betrayed? The known pain of this prison cell is often preferable to the unknown space that lies beyond its walls. We also cling to our grievances because we believe, on some level, that they give us power. We believe that by holding on to our anger and resentment, we are somehow holding the other person accountable. We are keeping a record of their wrongdoing, and this record feels like a form of justice. But this is a profound illusion. Let us use the most powerful metaphor for this truth. Imagine that someone has wronged you, and in the fire of your anger, you reach in and pull out a burning coal. You hold it tightly in your hand, intending to throw it at them the moment you see them. But the other person has long since departed. They are living their life, perhaps not even thinking of you, while you remain standing there, alone. Your fist is clenched, your focus is consumed by the object of your anger, and all the while, the only person being burned is you. The smell of your own scorched flesh is the only consequence. This is the reality of holding on to a grievance. Letting go is not an act of charity for the person who harmed you. It is not about absolving them or condoning their actions. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation. It is the simple, wise, and sane act of opening your hand and dropping the coal. You do it for yourself. You do it because you have decided that you will no longer allow an event from the past to burn away the peace of your present moment. It is vital that we clear away the misunderstandings that make this act so difficult. First, letting go is not the same as forgetting. Forgetting is a passive process of memory. Letting go is an active process of will. The memory of the event may remain, but you can release the toxic emotional charge that is attached to it. The memory can become a scar rather than a perpetually open wound, a reminder of a lesson learned rather than a source of constant pain. Second, letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a demonstration of immense strength. It is a declaration that your inner peace is more valuable than your grievance. It is taking back your power and proclaiming, "Your actions do not get to determine the quality of my life today. I am taking my energy back." Finally, letting go is often not a single dramatic event, but a continuous practice. It is a moment-by-moment choice to drop the coal every time you notice that you have, out of habit, picked it up again. You do it with gentle, loving persistence, not with self-blame. To aid in this courageous act, we can use a tangible ritual to signal to our entire being, conscious and unconscious, that we are ready to release the burden. This is a practical step, a physical manifestation of an inner decision. When you are ready, find a time and place where you will be quiet and undisturbed. Take a piece of paper and a pen. This is your sacred inventory. On this paper, you will write down everything you are now willing to let go of. Do not censor yourself. Write down the names, the events, the regrets, the failures, the resentments, the self-judgments. Write down the story of the one who wronged you. Write down the story of the one who is not good enough. Pour all the heavy, dark lead of your past onto the page until you feel empty. When you are finished, take a moment to read what you have written. Read it one last time, not to rekindle the pain, but to honor the role these stories have played in your life up to this point. They were teachers, they were catalysts. Silently or aloud, thank them for the lessons they have provided, and then firmly declare that their service is now complete. I see you. I acknowledge the part you have played, and I now lovingly release you. Now comes the physical act of release. The most powerful way to do this is with fire. In a safe and contained way in a fireplace, a metal bowl, or an outdoor fire pit, set the paper alight. As you watch the flames consume the paper, visualize the smoke carrying these heavy energies away from you, dissolving them into the vastness of the sky. See the stories turning to ash, their power rendered null and void. If fire is not an option, you can tear the paper into 1,000 tiny pieces and release them into a strong wind or a flowing body of water. Watch them scatter and dissolve. The physical act is a powerful symbol. It tells your soul, on a level deeper than words, that you are free. In the aftermath of this ritual, you will feel a new sensation. It is a feeling of lightness, of spaciousness. The familiar weight that you have carried for so long is gone. This new emptiness might feel strange at first, even unnerving. But this is not a void to be feared. This is the sacred space you have just created. This is the fertile ground of the present moment, finally cleared of the weeds of the past. You have dropped the burning coals. You have cleared away the rubble. You have stepped out of the prison of your own history. A profound and simple stillness now awaits you. The question is no longer what you are holding on to, but what you will do with this precious, newfound space. You have done the courageous work of clearing the rubble. By letting go of the past, you have created a clean, open, sacred space within yourself. But this newfound space is a vacuum, and the habits of a lifetime will rush in to fill it if you are not vigilant. The world we inhabit is a world of relentless momentum, a world that rewards speed and reactivity. From the moment you wake, you are pulled into a current of demands, notifications, and expectations. You are conditioned to live in a state of perpetual, unconscious reaction. An email arrives, you must reply now. A question is asked, you must answer now. An impulse arises, you must act on it now. We live like billiard balls on a table, knocked about by external cues, believing this constant, frantic motion is life itself. This state of automatic reactivity is the source of our deepest regrets. It is the birthplace of words spoken in anger that can never be taken back, of hasty decisions that create months of complications, of opportunities for connection that are missed in a blur of busyness. When you live as a chain reaction, you are not living at all. You are being lived. You have surrendered your power, your agency, and your peace to the random chaos of external events. You have created a life where there is no space for grace, no room for wisdom, and no possibility of freedom. But what if there was a way to break the chain? What if you could discover a hidden dimension, a secret kingdom that exists in the space between events? There is a profound teaching, a key that unlocks the door of this reactive prison. It is this: between the stimulus and your response, there is a space. This space may only be the length of a single breath, but within that tiny gap lies your entire power. Within that space is your freedom to choose, and in your choice lies your growth, your liberation, and the creation of a new reality. We have come to explore the immense power of the sacred pause. Think of it this way: a reactive response is like trying to shoot an arrow without first drawing back the bow. A provocative comment is made, and you instantly fling a weak, poorly aimed retort back. It clatters to the floor, having achieved nothing but a continuation of conflict. It is a flailing, powerless gesture. The sacred pause is the conscious, deliberate act of drawing the bowstring back. To an outside observer, it might look like you are doing nothing. It may even look like you are moving backward, away from the conflict. But it is in this drawing back that all the power is gathered. The further you draw back the string, the more you pause, center yourself, and breathe, more potential energy you accumulate. When you finally release the arrow, your response is no longer a flailing reaction. It is a powerful, intentional, and true flight. It hits its mark, whether that mark is de-escalating a conflict, offering a compassionate insight, or simply maintaining your own dignified silence. The pause is not an act of weakness. It is the gathering of your true strength. The practice itself is deceptively simple. It does not require a special cushion or a quiet room, for it is designed to be used in the midst of life's messy and chaotic moments. The practice is this: the moment you feel the pull of a trigger, before you speak a word, before you move a muscle, you introduce one conscious breath. That is all. One deliberate inhalation, one slow exhalation. This is the sacred pause. It is a circuit breaker for the conditioned mind. Let us walk through the moments where this simple act will change everything. A stressful email from your boss lands in your inbox. Your heart rate quickens, your mind floods with defensive arguments, your fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to fire back a justification. In that instant, you remember. You invoke the pause. You stop. You lean back. You take one deep, slow breath. The initial wave of adrenaline passes. The story of being attacked subsides. Your higher mind comes back online. You can now see the email for what it is and craft a response from a place of clarity and confidence, not from a place of fear. You have just altered the entire trajectory of your workday with a single breath. You are driving, and another car cuts you off abruptly. The automatic reaction is a surge of anger. Your hand moves to the horn, a curse forms on your lips. But you catch yourself, pause, one breath. In the space of that breath, you realize how utterly insignificant this moment is. You realize that poisoning yourself with anger is a far greater violence than the other driver's careless maneuver. You let it go. You consciously choose to preserve your own inner peace. The other driver continues on their way, but you have just performed a quiet miracle of self-mastery. Your child, in a moment of playfulness, spills a drink all over the floor you just cleaned. The instant reaction is a sharp word, a sigh of exasperation. But you remember the practice. Pause. You close your mouth. You breathe. You look down and see not a problem to be fixed, but a small child looking up at you, their eyes wide with fear of your reaction. In the space of that pause, your heart opens. You choose a different response. You kneel down and say, "It's okay, we're a team. Let's clean it up together." You have just replaced a moment of potential trauma with a lesson in love, forgiveness, and connection. This practice, repeated throughout your days, begins to have a profound ripple effect. Each pause is a declaration of your inner sovereignty. You are no longer a slave to your impulses. You are no longer a victim of other people's moods. You are the calm, conscious creator of your experience. The space you cultivate with your breath begins to expand. You start to feel more present, not just in moments of crisis, but in all moments. The pause before you eat allows you to taste your food. The pause before you speak allows your words to be kind. The pause before you act allows your actions to be wise. As this space of presence grows, something extraordinary begins to happen. The hard, sharp edges of the I, separate self that is always reacting to a separate world begin to soften. In the quiet stillness of the pause, you start to feel a deeper connection to the flow of life itself. You are no longer just the billiard ball, separate and solid, reacting to other objects. You begin to feel the presence of the whole table, the fabric of the felt, the intention of the player, the geometry of the entire game. You are waking up from the dream of separation, and in this awakening, you are preparing yourself for one of the most profound realizations a human being can have. In the expanding, silent space of the sacred pause, a new perception begins to dawn. As you cease your frantic reaction to the world, the hard, defensive edges of your separate self begin to soften. The constant feeling of being a small, fragile me standing against a vast, external world begins to lose its sharp definition. This feeling of separation is the root cause of all human loneliness, anxiety, and fear. It is the core illusion, the fundamental trance that keeps you feeling like an isolated fragment in a cold and indifferent cosmos. We have been taught to believe that we are a consciousness trapped inside a skull, peering out at a universe that is fundamentally not us. We have now arrived at the threshold of the truth that shatters this illusion forever. The logical mind will resist what comes next. The ego will fight it with all its strength, for its very existence depends on maintaining the boundary between self and other. But listen with the deeper intelligence you have been cultivating, the intuition that resides in your heart and in the marrow of your bones, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that forms your very cells. Every single atom that constitutes your body was forged in the fiery heart of a star that lived and died billions of years ago. That stardust then journeyed across unimaginable voids of space and time to coalesce here, now, as you. You are not just living on the Earth. You are the Earth, temporarily configured as a human being. The breath you just inhaled, which you call my breath, was, a moment ago, the breath of the tree outside your window. The water that makes up most of your body is the same water that has flowed in ancient rivers and fallen as rain for millennia. The boundary between you and the universe is a phantom, a trick of a limited perception. The mystics and poets have always known this truth. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean, in a single drop. Think of yourself as a wave on the surface of a vast cosmic sea. The wave has a unique form, a temporary identity. It rises, it crests, it travels, and it dissolves back into the source. For its brief existence, it might believe it is a separate entity, a lonely wave struggling against the wind and the other waves. But it is never, for a single instant, separate from the ocean. Its very substance, its movement, its power, all of it, is the ocean. The wave is simply one of the infinite ways the ocean has of experiencing itself. So it is with you. You are not a human being who has a consciousness. You are universal consciousness itself, the one single awareness that animates all things, temporarily experiencing life through the unique aperture of a human nervous system. You are the universe waking up and looking at itself through your eyes. When you behold a sunset, it is the universe beholding its own beauty. When you feel a pang of love, it is the universe feeling its own connection. When you grieve, it is the universe experiencing the sacred pain of impermanence. You are not a lonely spectator watching the cosmic show. You are the show itself. The ego will hear this and scream in protest. It will say, "This is grandiose nonsense. I have bills to pay. I have a toothache. How can I be the universe?" It will feel a terror of annihilation, for if you are everything, the ego's special, separate identity becomes nothing. But this is not an annihilation of you. It is an expansion of you. Your unique personality, your memories, your talents, they are not erased. They are seen for what they are. The beautiful, intricate, temporary pattern on the face of the wave. Realizing you are the ocean does not destroy the pattern of the wave. It infuses it with a boundless depth, power, and peace. It ends the wave's lonely, fearful struggle. This truth cannot be grasped by the intellect alone. It must be felt. It must be experienced directly. And the simplest gateway to this experience is through nature, which has never forgotten the truth of this unity. This is your practice. Go outside and find a tree. Not just to look at it, but to truly be with it. Place your hand on its trunk. Close your eyes. Feel the rough texture of the bark, but then feel deeper. Feel the slow, patient, unyielding current of life force rising from the deep earth, up through its roots, into its core. Feel its steadfast presence, and realize in that moment that the same silent, intelligent power that animates this tree is the very same power that is, this instant, beating your heart and thinking your thoughts. The life in you and the life in the tree are one life. Lie down on the earth, if you can. Feel the solid, unwavering support of the planet beneath you. Feel your own weight surrendering to its gravitational pull. Let go of the sense that you are lying on the earth and allow the feeling that you are a temporary expression of the earth, just as a mountain is or a flower is. You have sprung from it, and one day you will return to it. You are not separate. On a clear night, go as far as you can from the lights of the city and look up at the sky. Allow the sheer scale of the cosmos to dismantle your sense of self-importance. See the infinite expanse out there. Then bring your awareness to the sense of consciousness in here, the awareness that is perceiving the stars, and entertain the possibility that the vast, silent space between the stars and the vast, silent awareness within you are not two different things. The universe is not something you are looking at. The universe is the looking itself, happening through you. When this realization begins to dawn in your heart, not just as a concept but as a lived reality, the entire foundation of your life begins to shift. The frantic, anxious need to control every outcome subsides. How can a single wave control the entire ocean? The gnawing ache of loneliness is replaced by a profound sense of belonging, of being utterly at home in the cosmos. The fear of death diminishes, for how can the ocean fear the dissolution of a single wave? You understand that you are not just this small, fragile body, but the indestructible life force that animates all forms. Your personal story, with all its dramas and concerns, is seen for what it is, a tiny, beautiful, and meaningful chapter in an infinite cosmic epic. This profound shift in identity is the foundation of the deepest peace a human being can know. It is the beginning of true faith, not in something outside of yourself, but in the very fabric of existence. It is the beginning of learning to truly trust the unfolding. You have stood at the edge of the cosmic ocean and recognized your own reflection. In the silent presence of your own awareness, you have felt the profound truth that you are not the lonely wave, but the ocean itself. This is not a mere philosophical concept. It is the key to a completely new way of living. For what does it mean to live this truth in your daily life? It means you can finally learn to trust the tide. It means you can cease the frantic, exhausting struggle of the separate self, trying to control a universe that is infinitely larger and wiser than your thinking mind. It means you can learn to trust the unfolding. Consider the immense energy you expend every single day in the service of control. Your mind creates intricate blueprints for how your life should be. It sets rigid timelines for your career, writes detailed scripts for your relationships, and establishes exacting standards for your own personal growth. You operate from the deeply ingrained belief that you are the sole architect and builder of your life, and that without your constant, vigilant, white-knuckled effort, the entire structure will collapse into chaos. This belief is the primary source of all your stress and anxiety. It is the voice of the ego, whispering its core fear. If I let go, if I stop worrying, if I cease my constant management, everything will fall apart. This way of living is utterly exhausting. It is like trying to personally conduct every instrument in a symphony orchestra at once, while also writing the music, managing the lighting, and selling the tickets. You are trying to force the river into a channel of your own making, spending all of your life force building dams and levees, only to be filled with frustration and despair when the powerful current of life inevitably charts its own course. Now, from the vast perspective you have cultivated, consider the evidence of a greater intelligence at work. Does an acorn need your advice to know how to become a mighty oak tree? Does a planet in the far reaches of the galaxy require your calculations to remain in its perfect orbit? Does your own heart, beating faithfully in your chest, wait for your conscious command to perform its next miracle? The same silent, invisible, profound intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies and the unfurling of a fern is the very intelligence that is coursing through you this very moment. If this intelligence can be trusted with the grand architecture of the cosmos, is it not possible that it can also be trusted with the unfolding of your single, precious life? Your task is not to wrestle control from this intelligence. Your task is to learn to align with it, to harmonize with it. Your work is to stop fighting the current and learn to navigate your life with grace and skill. This is the essence of trusting the unfolding. Let us use the metaphor of a garden. The anxious mind, the ego, believes it must control every aspect of growth. It plants a seed and, consumed by impatience and distrust, digs it up every day to see if it has sprouted. It tries to pry the seed open with its own hands to force the shoot to emerge. In its frantic need for control, it destroys the very possibility of growth. The wise mind understands its true role. It knows it is the gardener, not the life force itself. As the gardener, you have important work to do. You must diligently prepare the soil, creating the right inner conditions of peace and openness. You must plant the seed, setting a clear and heartfelt intention. You must provide water and sunlight, taking the practical, inspired actions that are yours to take. But then, having done your part, comes the most crucial and courageous step of all. You must surrender. You must step back and trust the mysterious, innate intelligence within the seed to do its work. You cannot force the bloom. You cannot dictate the exact moment of its arrival. You must trust the process. Trusting the unfolding is not passive resignation or lazy apathy. It is the perfect balance of responsible action and graceful surrender. You do what is yours to do, and you allow the universe to do what is its to do. To build this muscle of trust, you must be willing to experiment. The ego will not relinquish its grip based on a mere idea. It must be shown evidence that it is safe to let go. So, begin with a small, controlled experiment in surrender. Choose one specific, limited area of your life where you feel the tightest grip of control. Perhaps it is a project at work you are micromanaging, a relationship dynamic you are constantly trying to fix, or a personal goal you are pursuing with frantic, desperate energy. Now, for a set period on week is a good start, you will consciously practice releasing your grip in this one area. This does not mean you abandon it. You still perform the necessary actions, like the gardener watering the soil. But you release the anxiety. You let go of your attachment to a specific outcome and a specific timeline. Every time you feel the familiar urge to worry, to obsess, to interfere, you will pause. You will take a breath, and you will affirm to yourself, I trust the unfolding. You are handing the outcome over to the greater intelligence of life. At the end of the week, reflect. Did the world end? Did that area of your life collapse into ruin as your ego predicted? Or did something else happen? Perhaps you found that things progressed more smoothly without your constant interference. Perhaps a solution appeared from an unexpected direction. Perhaps the only significant change was your own inner state. Did you notice the vast reservoir of mental and emotional energy you saved by not fueling the fires of worry? This is the evidence you need. You are learning that your control was not only ineffective, it was the very source of your exhaustion. Living from this place of trust changes everything. You become a collaborator with life, not a combatant against it. You show up each day, you do your best, you act with integrity and love, and then you release the results to the cosmos, knowing that you are a cherished part of a process that is intelligent, benevolent, and far too complex for your mind to ever comprehend. This doesn't mean life will always be easy or without pain. The ocean will still have its storms, but you will no longer feel like a drowning sailor. You will feel like the ocean itself, calmly weathering its own magnificent passing turmoil. This profound trust liberates you. All the energy you once wasted on resisting, worrying, and trying to control is now available to you. It is a powerful, clear, creative force, no longer tainted by the frequency of fear. You are no longer pushing the river from behind. You are now free to act from a place of deep intuition and clarity, steering your vessel with skill and grace as you flow with the current. You are ready to learn how to take action, not from a place of anxiety, but from the deep, quiet well of your own stillness. Observe the energy from which your actions spring. For most of the world, and perhaps for most of your life, action has been synonymous with a kind of frantic, forward-leaning momentum. It is a state of doing born from a state of unease. There is a deep, often unspoken belief that anxiety is the fuel of achievement, that worry is the engine of progress. You have been taught, by the world and perhaps by your own mind, that to be still is to be stagnant, to be calm is to be complacent. And so, you move, you hustle, you strive, you push, you react. You fill your days with a flurry of activity, a calendar packed with obligations, a mind buzzing with the next 10 steps. This busyness feels like life. It feels like you are participating, contributing, building. But look closer, feel deeper. Is the energy behind this perpetual motion one of joy, clarity, and purpose, or is it the low, persistent hum of anxiety, the fear of being left behind, the fear of not being enough, the fear of what might happen if you simply stopped? This is the great illusion of the modern world, confusing motion with creation and confusing anxiety with motivation. The truth is that action born from anxiety is almost always inefficient. It is scattered. It is reactive, not responsive. It is a builder throwing bricks in a panic, hoping a wall will emerge, rather than a master mason laying each stone with intention. Anxious action depletes you. It burns your vital energy on the friction of worry itself, leaving little left for the task at hand. It is the energy of survival, not the energy of deliberate creation. You make decisions not from a place of deep knowing, but from a desperate need to quell the unease inside. You speak not from a place of truth, but from a compulsion to fill the silence. You work not from a place of passion, but from a fear of the consequences of not working. This is a hollow way to live, a hollow way to create. It is a life spent running from a shadow, a constant scramble that yields exhaustion, not fulfillment. The internal conflict is profound because the system is so deeply ingrained. There is a part of you, the part conditioned by society and the frantic ego, that genuinely believes its own propaganda. It tells you, if I am not worried, I will not prepare. If I am not anxious, I will lose my edge. This discomfort is what keeps me sharp, what keeps me moving. It equates stillness with apathy. It fears that if you let go of the tension, everything will fall apart. You will become lazy, unproductive, a failure. The desire for peace wars with this deep-seated fear of what peace might mean for your survival, for your identity as a capable, productive person. The idea of acting from a place of calm feels like a foreign language, an impossible luxury. How can I be still when the bills are due, when the deadlines are looming, when the world is demanding my attention? This is the mind's most clever trap. It convinces you that the state of panic is the necessary tool to solve the problems that panic itself often creates or exacerbates. It is a cycle that feeds on itself, a storm that generates its own wind. But the most powerful, the most precise, the most effective action you will ever take in your life will not come from this storm. It will come from the eye of the storm. It will come from a place of profound inner stillness. Here lies the core message, the truth that can recalibrate your entire existence. The most potent action is born from stillness. It is not an absence of energy, it is the focusing of it. Think of an archer. An archer whose hand trembles with the anxiety of missing the target will never be accurate. The fear itself creates the very outcome it dreads. The arrow will fly wide. The energy is scattered, chaotic. The master archer understands this. Before drawing the bow, the master archer finds a point of absolute inner calm. The mind is not filled with thoughts of failure or success. The mind is empty. The breath is slow and deliberate. The body is relaxed but poised. In that moment of utter stillness, a connection is formed between the archer, the bow, the arrow, and the target. There is no separation. And from that point of stillness, the action is released. It is effortless, powerful, and precise. The arrow does not feel forced. It feels guided. It finds its mark not through frantic effort, but through focused, calm intention. This is the model for your life. Action from stillness is action guided by clarity and intuition, not by panic. It is action that arises from a deep well of knowing, not from the shallow puddle of nervous energy. When you are still, you can finally hear the whisper of your own intuition. You can finally see the clearest, most direct path forward. A path that is invisible when your vision is clouded by the dust of anxiety. This is not an abstract philosophy. It is a practical skill, a muscle you can train. Before you begin an important task, before you enter a difficult conversation, before you make a significant decision, practice this simple ritual. Stop, close your eyes, even for just 60 seconds. Let the frantic energy of the world continue without you for a moment. Bring your full attention to your breath. Feel the air enter your body, a cool, calming presence. Feel it leave your body, taking with it a measure of your tension. Do not try to force your mind to be silent. Simply let the thoughts be there, like clouds in the sky, and keep your anchor in the breath. Then, from this place of relative quiet, ask your deeper self a simple question. What is the most important action to take right now? Or, what is the most aligned action? Wait. Do not rush to answer with your analytical mind. Listen for the first feeling, the first intuitive nudge that arises from the quiet. The answer may be the very thing you were planning to do, but now you will approach it from a different energy. Or the answer may surprise you. It may be, wait. It may be, make that phone call first. It may be, go for a walk and clear your head. This practice is not about wasting time. It is about sanctifying time. It is about ensuring that the life force you expend in action is potent, purposeful, and effective. It is the difference between frantically digging a dozen shallow wells and finding no water, and patiently, calmly drilling one deep well that strikes the source. When you act from stillness, you are no longer a slave to circumstance. You are a conscious participant in the unfolding of your life. Your actions have a different resonance. They carry a weight, a grace, a power that anxious action can never possess. This does not mean you will never feel pressure or face challenges. The world will still turn and the demands will still come, but you will learn to meet them from a different place within yourself. You will learn to find the still point in the turning world, the silent center of your own being, and from that center you will act. Not because you are afraid of what will happen if you don't, but because it is the clear, true, and powerful thing to do. This requires a new kind of commitment, a choice made not once, but over and over again. It is the choice to favor clarity over chaos, intention over impulse. This choice, repeated daily, is a form of profound self-respect. It is an act of discipline, not of restriction, but of liberation. There is a word that has been loaded with the weight of punishment, a word that carries the echo of a harsh command, of restriction, of joyless obligation. That word is discipline. For many, it tastes of ash. It feels like a cage, a denial of the self, a war waged against one's own desires. We are told to be disciplined, and we imagine a life of rigid schedules, of pleasure denied, of a constant, joyless striving. But this is a profound misunderstanding, a distortion of one of the most beautiful and liberating concepts available to a conscious being. I ask you now to set aside that heavy, brittle definition. Let it crumble into dust. Let us redefine this word not as punishment, but as the highest and most sincere form of self-love. True self-discipline is not a cage. It is the architect drawing the blueprint for your own freedom. It is an act of profound grace you bestow upon yourself. It is the ultimate expression of faith in the person you are becoming. The internal conflict is one of the most primal we face. It is the war between the present moment's desire and the future self's well-being. The ego, in its constant search for comfort and immediate gratification, is a master of procrastination. It whispers seductive arguments for ease. You are tired. You deserve a rest. Start tomorrow. One day makes no difference. This is too hard. Why force yourself? It promises the sweet relief of yielding to impulse. And in that moment, giving in feels like kindness. But it is a hollow kindness. It is the momentary pleasure of the addict, a pleasure that inevitably leads to a deeper pain. It is a small betrayal of the person you claim you want to be. On the other side of this conflict stands the quiet, steady knowing of your higher self. This part of you understands that true satisfaction is not born from ease, but from overcoming resistance. It knows that the deep, resonant joy of fulfillment is earned through consistent, conscious effort. The struggle is this: your present self wants the comfort of the couch, while your future self begs for the strength that comes from the workout. Your present self wants the distraction of the screen, while your future self yearns for the clarity that comes from an hour of silence. To choose discipline is to choose your future self over the fleeting whims of your present self. It is to declare that your long-term evolution is more sacred than your short-term comfort. The core message is this: self-discipline is not about what you are denying yourself, but about what you are giving yourself. It is the sacred act of keeping the promises you make to the only person you are guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with you. Every time you choose to meditate for 5 minutes when your mind screams for distraction, you are not punishing yourself. You are telling yourself, "My inner peace is worthy of my commitment." Every time you choose to nourish your body with healthy food instead of temporary indulgence, you are not restricting yourself. You are affirming, "My vitality is a gift I will protect." Every time you sit down to do the creative work that calls to you, even when inspiration feels distant, you are not forcing yourself. You are honoring the creative spirit within you and declaring, "My soul's expression matters." This is not the language of a tyrant, but the language of a devoted guardian. It is an act of profound respect. The lack of discipline, on the other hand, while it may feel like freedom, is a form of self-abandonment. It is to be a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every passing wave of mood and impulse. True freedom is not the absence of structure, it is the mastery of it. True freedom is the sovereignty that comes from knowing you are not a slave to your own fleeting desires. Consider the powerful metaphor of a river. A river without banks is not a river. It is a swamp. Its water is stagnant, murky, directionless. It spreads thin, loses its force, and becomes a breeding ground for decay. Its potential is entirely lost. It is a powerful force with no expression. This is a life without discipline. The energy is there, the potential is vast, but without structure, it dissipates into a swamp of unfulfilled intentions and stagnant dreams. Now, picture that same river with strong, defined banks. The banks do not imprison the river. They do not hate the water. They give it form, direction, and immense power. Because of the banks, the river can carve canyons, nourish landscapes, and journey with unstoppable momentum toward the vastness of the ocean. The banks are what allow the river to fulfill its ultimate purpose. This is the grace of self-discipline. It provides the structure, the container, through which your life's energy can flow with purpose and power. It is the loving boundary you create for yourself that allows you to move powerfully toward the ocean of your highest potential. Without the banks, you are a swamp. With them, you are a force of nature. Let us make this real. Let us forge the banks of your river, not with overwhelming demands, but with a single, loving act of commitment. The muscle of discipline is strengthened not by lifting an impossibly heavy weight once, but by lifting a manageable weight consistently. Choose one small habit, not 10, not 5, 1. A habit so small, your ego will have a hard time arguing against it. Meditate for 5 minutes every morning upon waking. Read 10 pages of a wisdom-filled book each day. Write one sentence in a journal before you sleep. For 1 hour before bed, put your phone away, out of sight. Choose your one act. And now commit to it for 30 days. This is your sacred contract with yourself. There will be days when you do not feel like it. Your mind will rebel. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that the training is working. On those days, your only task is to gently, without judgment, perform the act anyway. And if you miss a day, the practice is not to berate yourself. The practice is to simply begin again the next day. The strength is not built in flawless performance. The strength is forged in the act of returning to your commitment again and again. This is how you build self-trust, the bedrock of a powerful life. This practice of forging discipline is the essential preparation for the great truth of our existence. It builds an inner structure, a sanctuary of integrity that is not dependent on the shifting sands of the external world. Your job, your relationships, your health, your possessions all are subject to change. They are impermanent. To build your entire sense of self on these external things is to build your house upon the sand. But the commitment you keep to yourself, the character you forge in the quiet moments of choice, the self-trust you build through small, consistent acts of discipline, this is a foundation built on solid rock. It is an internal structure that provides stability no matter what storms may rage outside. This discipline, this loving structure, allows you to face the inevitable winds of change and loss, not with terror, but with a quiet strength. It becomes the anchor that holds you steady as you learn to embrace the beautiful, heartbreaking truth of impermanence. Look around you. The light in your room, the air you are breathing, the body that is hearing these words. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you are, is in a state of vanishing. The chair you sit on is slowly decaying. The mountains on the horizon are imperceptibly eroding. The sun that warms your skin is burning itself out. And you, this collection of cells and consciousness, are changing with every single breath. This is the most fundamental, inescapable truth of existence, and it is the source of our deepest suffering. Our primary affliction as human beings is our desperate, heartbreaking attempt to build permanent homes on shifting sands. We fall in love with a moment, a person, a feeling, a period of our lives, and we try to nail it down, to freeze it in time, to build a fortress around it. We cling, we grasp, we hold on with white-knuckled intensity to youth, to love, to success, to life itself, all while the universal current of change is relentlessly pulling everything forward. This clinging, this resistance to the natural flow of life, is the very definition of suffering. It is a war we wage against reality itself, and it is a war we can never, ever win. The internal conflict is born from a profound misunderstanding. Your ego, the constructor of your identity, believes that its survival depends on stability. It craves the solid ground of the predictable, the known, the permanent. It builds its sense of self out of things that are, by their very nature, temporary. I am a person who is young. I am a person in this specific relationship. I have this job, this status, this level of health. When the law of impermanence inevitably begins to dissolve these temporary identities, the ego panics. It perceives change not as a natural process, but as a personal attack, a threat to its very existence. And so the battle begins. You find yourself fighting a phantom. You mourn the loss of your youth while it is still with you. You live in fear of a relationship ending, which poisons the love that is present right now. You ache with the memory of past happiness, unable to see the potential for joy in this very moment. This internal war against the tide of time is utterly exhausting. It fills the heart with anxiety, bitterness, and a pervasive sense of loss. You are constantly bracing for an impact that has, in truth, already happened and is always happening. The desire for a permanent, unchanging reality clashes violently with the truth that everything, absolutely everything, is a fleeting dance of form. The core message, the key that unlocks this self-imposed prison, is a radical reframing of the truth. Impermanence is not a curse. It is not a flaw in the design of life. It is the secret ingredient that gives life all of its beauty, all of its meaning, and all of its preciousness. It is a blessing, not a burden. Think of it this way: because a flower is destined to wilt, its brief bloom is breathtakingly beautiful. If flowers lasted forever, would we stop to marvel at them with such awe? Because a magnificent sunset is destined to fade into darkness, we are silenced by its transient glory. Because a conversation with a loved one will eventually end, the connection felt within it becomes sacred. And because this life, this improbable, miraculous flicker of consciousness, is finite, then every single breath becomes a gift of immeasurable value. The temporary nature of things does not diminish them, it elevates them. It infuses them with a poignancy and a sweetness that permanence could never offer. To accept impermanence is to stop fighting reality and to start participating in it. It is to release your grip and, in that release, to finally be free from the fear of loss. You cannot lose what you never tried to possess in the first place. Imagine you are standing beside a great flowing river. This river is life itself, always moving, always changing. The mind that resists impermanence is like a person standing on the bank, frantically trying to scoop up the water with their hands. They desperately want to hold the river, to possess a piece of it. They catch a handful of water, and for a fleeting second, they have it. But then, inevitably, it slips through their fingers, and their hands are empty again, leaving them with nothing but the feeling of failure and loss. They spend their entire life in this frustrating, futile cycle of grasping and losing. Now, imagine a different way. Imagine stepping into the river. You do not try to hold the water. You do not try to stop its flow. You simply stand within it and allow it to move around you. You feel its coolness, its power, its constant fluid motion. You are a part of the river's dance. You are experiencing it fully, without the struggle of possession. This is the art of embracing impermanence. It is the art of letting life flow through you, not resisting it. The joy is not in holding on, but in participating in the flow. This is not a passive resignation. It is an active, courageous practice. There is a powerful ancient practice called memento mori, which simply means remember that you will die. This is not meant to be morbid or depressing. It is meant to be an awakening. When you hold the awareness of your own finitude, not as a source of fear, but as a lens for living, your priorities instantly clarify. You stop postponing joy. You stop withholding your love. You find the courage to speak your truth. The trivial anxieties that consume so much of your energy fall away in the face of this ultimate truth. The awareness of death becomes a fierce, loving advocate for a life of authenticity and presence. You can practice this on a smaller scale every day. Find a flower in your garden or a park. Look at it closely. If it is in full bloom, appreciate its vibrant, temporary perfection. If its petals are beginning to wilt and fall, see the grace and beauty in that process too. Contemplate the entire life cycle held within that single form. See that the wilting is not a failure, but a necessary and beautiful part of its journey, a return to the earth to nourish new life. By learning to see the beauty in the entire arc of change, you train your mind to stop resisting the natural unfolding of your own life. When you begin to truly embrace impermanence, your relationship with life is transformed. You learn to hold things with an open hand, not a clenched fist. You love more deeply because you know that time is precious. You forgive more easily because you know that grudges are too heavy a burden to carry on a finite journey. You experience moments of happiness, not with a desperate desire to make them last forever, but with a profound gratitude for their simple, fleeting existence. Sadness still comes when things end, but it is a clean sadness, a poignant ache that honors what was, rather than a bitter grief poisoned by the fight against what is. This acceptance of life's transient nature clears the path for a new kind of joy to emerge. If every moment is fleeting, then every moment is a miracle. This realization compels you to stop living in the future, waiting for some grand event to make you happy. It invites you to find the sacred right here, in the overlooked, ordinary moments of your life. The act of breathing, the taste of water, the warmth of the sun, these simple, mundane things become profound, precisely because you know they will not last forever. There is a collective trance that has fallen over the human spirit. It is the trance of waiting. We are all waiting for our real lives to begin. We are waiting for the weekend. We are waiting for the vacation, the promotion, the new relationship, the day the children are grown, the day we finally retire. We have been conditioned to believe that life is a series of milestones and that the vast, sprawling spaces in between those milestones are merely waiting rooms. They are the dull, grey corridors we must hurry through to get to the next brightly lit destination. We treat the present moment as an obstacle, a stepping stone to a future moment where we believe our happiness is finally being held for us. We postpone our joy, we defer our peace. We tell ourselves, I will be happy when, and in doing so, we sleepwalk through the only life we will ever have, which is the life that is happening right now. This grand postponement is the greatest thief of joy. It convinces you to trade the tangible, breathing reality of this moment for a fantasy of the future, a future that, when it arrives, will likely become just another present moment to be endured while you wait for the next thing. The psychological mechanism behind this trance is a subtle but tyrannical form of judgment. Your mind, in its relentless effort to organize and control reality, creates a hierarchy of moments. It sorts your experiences into two distinct piles, the important and the mundane. The important moments are the highlights. The wedding day, the graduation, the birth of a child, the thrilling success. These are deemed worthy of your full attention, your joy, your presence. The mundane, however, is everything else. It is washing the dishes, folding the laundry, commuting to work, waiting in line, brushing your teeth. This pile constitutes perhaps 99% of your actual lived experience. And the mind's verdict on this pile is that it is boring, tedious, and unimportant. It is simply in the way. And so, what is your response? You try to get through it as fast as possible. You wash the dishes while mentally planning your next day. You drive to work while lost in a daydream or consumed by a worry. You numb the present moment with podcasts, music, and endless scrolling, all in an effort to escape the perceived emptiness of the now. The internal conflict is this constant, restless desire to be somewhere else, to be doing something else, because you have judged this present moment as insufficient. This restlessness is not a sign that your life is boring. It is a sign that you are not fully inhabiting it. The core message, the truth that shatters this trance, is as simple as it is profound. Happiness is not a destination. It is a way of traveling. Life is not in the grand events. It is in the texture of the details. The quality of your life is not determined by the number of highlights you accumulate, but by the quality of attention you bring to the moments in between. The sacred is not hiding in some future paradise. It is woven into the very fabric of the ordinary. To awaken from the trance is to realize that this very moment, with its unique sounds, sensations, and feelings is it. This is your life. It is not a dress rehearsal. There is no other, more important life waiting for you. The profound peace and quiet joy you seek are not at the end of the corridor. They are in the corridor itself. They are available to you right now, in the feeling of warm water on your hands as you wash a cup, in the rhythm of your own breathing as you walk down the street, in the intricate patterns of the wood grain on your table. Your life is a mosaic made of these tiny, ordinary moments. By dismissing them as mundane, you are dismissing your entire life. By learning to inhabit them with presence, you transform the mundane into the miraculous. Happiness is not a rare, brilliant diamond that you must embark on a treacherous quest to find. That is the ego's myth, the story that keeps you striving and dissatisfied. A more accurate metaphor is this. Happiness is like golden dust glittering in the air all around you, at all times. When you are frantically rushing about, when your mind is a storm of planning and worrying, you cannot see it. Your frantic movement stirs up so much dust and debris that the golden light is completely obscured. You are convinced the air is empty and grey. But when you become still, when you allow the storm of your mind to settle, something magical happens. As the inner turmoil subsides, you begin to perceive what was there all along. You notice the subtle glint and shimmer in the ordinary air, the golden dust. It was never absent, your perception was merely clouded. Finding joy in the mundane is the practice of becoming still enough to see the glittering magic that is inherent in every moment. It requires no quest, no striving, no achievement. It requires only your quiet, loving, non-judgmental attention. Let us put this into practice, not as another chore, but as an act of devotion to the present. The next time you prepare a cup of tea or coffee, perform the action as a meditation. Do not do it on autopilot while your mind is elsewhere. Begin by choosing your favorite cup. Feel its weight and texture in your hands. As you pour the hot water, listen to the sound it makes. Watch the steam rise and curl in the air, a silent, formless dance. If you are using a tea bag, watch as the color bleeds out into the water, slowly transforming it. Hold the warm cup in both hands and just feel the heat seeping into your palms. This is a moment of pure, simple sensation. Before you take a sip, bring the cup to your face and inhale the aroma. Notice the complex notes. Finally, take a small sip. Do not just swallow it down. Let the liquid rest on your tongue for a moment. What are the flavors? Is it bitter, sweet, earthy, bright? Feel its warmth as it travels down into your body. You see, the point was never the tea. The tea was simply the anchor that held your attention in the now. The point was the presence you brought to the experience. You can bring this same quality of attention to anything, to the feeling of soap and water as you wash your hands, to the sensation of your feet on the floor as you walk across a room, to the intricate layers of flavor in a single bite of food. This is the practice. When you begin to live this way, your reality transforms, even though nothing on the outside has changed. Chores cease to be burdens and become opportunities for moving meditation. A simple walk becomes a rich, sensory experience. Life stops being a problem to be solved or a race to be won, and it becomes a mystery to be explored, a continuous unfolding of small wonders. The feeling of being bored, that restless affliction of the distracted mind, begins to dissolve, because you realize that there is no such thing as an empty moment. There are only moments that you have failed to fill with your presence. This discovery, this ability to find richness and joy in the simplest of things, has a profound effect on your relationship with yourself. You learn that you do not need constant external stimulation to feel alive. You do not need to be entertained. You carry the source of wonder and joy within you. And when you can find this joy in your own quiet presence, your experience of being alone is fundamentally altered. It is no longer a state of lack or emptiness to be feared. It is no longer loneliness. It becomes a deeply nourishing and fulfilling state of solitude. The state of being alone holds two vastly different worlds within it. One is a desolate landscape, a barren desert of the heart. The other is a lush, hidden garden, a secret wellspring of power. The world, in its noise and confusion, has taught you to conflate the two. But they are not the same. They are not even related. One is called loneliness, and the other is called solitude. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. It is a feeling of lack, a hollow ache in the center of your chest that screams for connection, for validation, for another human being to come and assure you that you are not invisible. It is the feeling of being an outcast, of being separate from the whole. It is a state of poverty, a hunger of the soul. Solitude, on the other hand, is the richness of being alone. It is a voluntary state, a conscious choice to withdraw from the world of noise and distraction in order to connect more deeply with the world within. It is not a lack, but a fullness. It is not an absence, but a profound presence. It is a state of wealth, a feast for the soul. The great tragedy is that we have been conditioned to fear the state of being alone so much that we flee from the potential for solitude, and in doing so, we condemn ourselves to the recurring pain of loneliness. The psychological root of this fear is the terror of the void. We are afraid of what we will find if we are left alone with no distractions. In the silence, the voices we have been trying to outrun begin to speak. The unprocessed grief, the nagging anxieties, the chorus of self-criticism from the echo chamber of the mind. We use the company of others, the endless stream of digital content, the constant busyness, as a buffer between ourselves and our own inner reality. We fear that if the noise stops, we will be confronted with an unbearable emptiness. But here is the secret. That feeling of emptiness is not the truth of who you are. It is merely the accumulated noise of a life lived without genuine self-connection. Loneliness, therefore, is rarely about the absence of other people. It is almost always about the absence of a connection to oneself. You can be in a crowded room, surrounded by laughter and conversation, and feel a loneliness so profound it feels like a physical illness. You can be married, have a family, have hundreds of friends, and still feel utterly, terrifyingly alone. This is because the connection you truly crave cannot be given to you by another. It is a connection you must forge with yourself. The internal conflict is fueled by deep social programming. We are herd animals. The desire for belonging is wired into our DNA. To choose solitude can feel like a transgression against the tribe. A part of you fears being judged. If I spend Saturday night alone, people will think I am a loser, that I have no friends. If I turn down that invitation to have some quiet time, they will think I am weird, or arrogant, or depressed. This fear of social judgment, combined with the ubiquitous fear of missing out, creates a powerful pull toward constant, often superficial, social engagement. You might find yourself saying yes to things you do not want to do, simply to avoid the perceived stigma of being alone. You might fill every silent moment with a phone call or a podcast, not out of genuine interest, but out of a habitual terror of your own quiet company. The desire for inner peace and self-discovery is constantly at war with this conditioned need for external validation and belonging. The choice for solitude becomes a quiet act of rebellion against a world that tells you your worth is measured by your social calendar. The core message, the truth that will lead you out of the desert of loneliness and into the garden of solitude, is this: you must learn to be alone without being lonely by becoming your own best friend. The ultimate antidote to loneliness is to cultivate a relationship with yourself that is so deep, so loving, and so interesting that your own company is a source of profound comfort and delight. Solitude is the sacred space where this friendship is nurtured. It is where you learn to listen to your own thoughts without judgment, to comfort your own sorrows without shame, and to celebrate your own quiet joys without needing an audience. When you can provide for yourself the acceptance, compassion, and understanding you have been desperately seeking from others, the frantic hunger for external validation begins to fade. You cease to be a beggar for connection and become a sovereign of your own inner world. And from this place of wholeness, your entire relationship with other people is transformed. You no longer enter relationships from a place of neediness, hoping someone will come and fill your inner void. Instead, you connect with others from a place of fullness, to share the abundance of peace and love that you have already cultivated within. You become a giver, not just a taker. There is a beautiful metaphor for this. Imagine a tree planted in a crowded forest, jammed in among dozens of others. It must constantly struggle for its share of light and water. Its roots cannot spread deep and wide, so it is unstable in a storm. Its branches are cramped and underdeveloped. It survives, but it never reaches its full, majestic potential. This is the soul deprived of the space of solitude. Now, picture a great, solitary tree in the middle of an open field. It has all the space it needs. Its roots can plunge deep into the earth, drawing up immense strength and nourishment. Its branches can spread out in every direction, reaching for the sun, offering shade and shelter. It is strong, magnificent, and self-sufficient. Its aloneness is not a sign of weakness. It is the very condition that allows for its profound strength and beauty. Solitude is that sacred, open space that your soul needs to grow deep roots. Let this not be an abstract idea. Make it a tangible practice. Schedule a date with yourself once a week. Mark it on your calendar as you would any other unbreakable appointment. This is not empty time, it is a sacred meeting. What you do on this date is less important than how you do it. You might take a walk in nature, but leave your headphones behind. The goal is to listen to the sounds of the world and the sounds of your own thoughts. You might go to a museum or an art gallery alone, allowing the art to speak to you without the filter of another person's commentary. You could sit in a quiet cafe with nothing but a journal and see what wants to be written. Or you can simply create a sanctuary at home. Light a candle, play some soft music, and just sit. The only rule for this sacred date is this: no numbing, no scrolling through your phone, no productive multitasking, no filling the space with noise. The purpose is simply to be present with yourself, to enjoy your own company. to listen, and to be still. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will fidget. But stay with it. You are teaching yourself, through practice, that you are a safe and worthy companion. As you cultivate this ability to rest peacefully in your own presence, you will notice a miraculous shift. The peace you find in your solitude will not stay there. You will begin to carry it with you, like a quiet, invisible aura. When you are stable in your solitude, you are no longer a drain on the energy of others. You become a source of calm. You become a better friend, a better partner, a better listener, because you are not secretly hoping the other person will fix the emptiness inside you. You are already full. This inner stability, this quiet confidence, born from a deep friendship with yourself, begins to radiate outward. Your silence, the inner peace you have so carefully cultivated in your moments alone, ceases to be something you hoard for yourself. It becomes your greatest gift to a noisy, frantic, and deeply lonely world. You are a sensitive soul in a noisy world. You open your eyes in the morning, and before you have even taken 10 breaths, the world rushes in with its relentless static of suffering and chaos. Through your screens and your conversations, you are bombarded with news of conflict, injustice, and pain. A part of you, the compassionate, empathetic part, feels the weight of it all. There is a deep, instinctual desire to help, to fix, to heal. But you look at the sheer scale of the world's problems, and you look at your own two hands, and a profound sense of helplessness can wash over you. You feel like a single person standing before a tidal wave, your individual efforts seeming impossibly small, like trying to empty the ocean with a seashell. What can one person possibly do in the face of so much turmoil? This feeling of powerlessness is one of the great spiritual crises of our time. It can lead to a cynical despair that hardens the heart, or a frantic, anxious activism that burns out the soul. The internal conflict born from this crisis is painful and paralyzing. The compassionate heart within you says, "Do something. You must act." But your overwhelmed nervous system, saturated with the world's collective anxiety, screams, "I can't. It's too much." You feel a sense of guilt for not doing more, yet you feel exhausted and depleted by the very thought of it. This conflict often pushes people into a state of reactive doing. They engage in angry debates. They share articles fueled by outrage. They immerse themselves in the never-ending cycle of bad news, mistaking the agitation of being informed for the effectiveness of taking action. But action born from a place of anger, fear, or despair rarely contributes to healing. It is like trying to put out a fire by throwing more combustible material onto it. It adds to the psychic noise of the world. It perpetuates the very energy of conflict and division it claims to oppose. This is the great paradox. Your well-intentioned desire to help, when filtered through an agitated mind, often just becomes another drop of poison in the river. The core message, a truth so radical it can reorient your entire understanding of your place in the world, is this: the most powerful, effective, and revolutionary action you can take to heal the world is to heal your own corner of it by committing to your own inner peace. Your state of being is your primary contribution to the collective. A world in turmoil is simply the macrocosm of billions of minds in turmoil. By bringing one mind, your mind, into a state of coherence, clarity, and peace, you are not retreating from the world's problems. You are actively transmuting them on an energetic level. Your inner silence is not a passive state of inaction. It is an active, resonant field of peace that has a subtle but undeniable effect on everyone and everything you encounter. Your calm is not a private luxury, it is a public service. In a world drowning in noise, your cultivated silence is a sanctuary. In a world burning with reactivity, your stillness is a cool balm. You have been looking for a grand gesture to make, a loud statement to declare. But the entire time, the most potent gift you have to offer has been the quiet, steady hum of your own centered presence. Imagine a violent storm raging at sea, with ships being tossed helplessly on the waves. There is a man on the shore who sees their plight. In a panic, he grabs a small lantern and begins running frantically along the rocky coastline, waving his light, shouting into the wind, trying to guide each ship individually. He is well-intentioned, but his efforts are scattered, exhausting, and ultimately ineffective against the scale of the storm. He soon collapses, his small light extinguished. Now, on a nearby peninsula, there stands a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not run, it does not panic, it does not shout. It does not concern itself with the specific path of each individual ship. It has only one profound duty: to be immovably rooted in its foundation of rock and to shine its powerful, steady and clarifying light from its center. It does not change its behavior because of the storm. It holds its center in spite of the storm. And by doing nothing more than standing still and shining, it provides the saving grace for every ship that has the wisdom to orient itself by its light. You are not the frantic man with the lantern. Your work is to be the lighthouse. Stop running along the shore, exhausting yourself with anxious doing. Your only task is to tend to your own inner light, to root yourself in the rock of your practice, and to let your silent, steady presence shine. This is not merely a metaphor. It is a way of being that you can practice in every interaction. The most direct way to offer your silent presence as a gift is through the practice of deep listening. Most of what we call listening is simply waiting for our turn to talk. While the other person is speaking, our mind is busy formulating a response, a rebuttal, an anecdote, or a piece of advice. We are not truly with them. We are in our own heads, preparing our next move. Deep listening is the opposite. It is the conscious decision to offer another person the vast, open, and sacred space of your full attention. When you listen deeply, you quiet your own mental commentary. You relax your agenda to fix, to advise, or to impress. You simply become a calm, receptive presence. You listen not just to their words, but to the silence between their words. You listen to the emotion behind their voice. You make eye contact. You offer them the unspoken assurance that they are being fully seen and heard, without judgment. This kind of listening is one of the most profound acts of love and healing you can offer another human being. In the space of your silent presence, they often find their own clarity. They feel safe enough to hear themselves. You do not need to have the answers. Your attentive silence becomes the space where they find their own. When you embody this lighthouse presence, you begin to see its ripple effect. Your calm presence in a tense family gathering can de-escalate conflict without you saying a word. Your centered focus in a chaotic work meeting can bring a sense of clarity to the entire room. Your children, your partner, your friends will feel the sanctuary of your non-anxious presence and will unconsciously relax in your company. You are no longer adding to the world's static. You are a living, breathing tuning fork for peace. The work you have been doing observing your mind, choosing silence, breathing, embracing impermanence, finding comfort in your own solitude, was never just for you. It has been the painstaking, loving work of building your lighthouse stone by stone. It has been the polishing of the great lens so your light can shine clearly. And now, you are beginning to understand that this silence, this presence, this light, is not something you merely possess. It is merging with the very fabric of who you are. It is the foundation upon which you will now learn to stand, not just in quiet moments of practice, but in the very center of this beautiful, chaotic, turning world. And so, after the deep dive into the silent ocean of the self, you must return to the shore. After the quiet pilgrimage into the vast inner landscape, you must once again walk in the noisy marketplace of the world. The journey was never about a permanent escape. It was never about building a monastery on a distant mountaintop. and renouncing the beautiful, messy, complicated business of being human. The entire purpose of this inward journey was to gather the strength, the clarity, and the silence needed to fully engage with your life, but from a new center of gravity. The real test of your practice does not happen on the meditation cushion in a quiet room. The real test begins now. It happens in the morning traffic jam. It happens when you open a critical email from your boss. It happens during a difficult conversation with a loved one. It happens when the world, with all of its demands and pressures, tries to pull you back into the old, familiar dance of anxiety and reaction. The deepest fear that arises at this stage is the fear that this newfound peace is fragile, that it will be shattered upon first contact with the chaos of daily life. A part of you, the old, conditioned self, will be tempted to believe that this peace was just a temporary state, a pleasant holiday from which you must now return. The world will present you with the very same triggers that once sent you spinning, and the old habits of mind will rise up, offering their familiar, seductive pathways of impatience, anger, and worry. This is the ultimate internal conflict. The serene memory of the silence you have tasted versus the immediate, visceral pull of your past conditioning. Please understand this. When this happens, it is not a sign that you have failed. It is a sign that the real work, the work of integration, has begun. You are not losing the peace. You are being given the opportunity to embody it, to prove that it is not a fleeting state, but a resilient, unshakable foundation you have built within yourself. Here we arrive at the culminating message of our entire journey together. The ultimate goal was never to eliminate the noise from the world. The goal was to discover the silence within you. It was not to create a life free of problems, but to become a person who can move through problems with grace and clarity. You are to become the still point in a turning world. This means that the silence is no longer a destination you must travel to. It is the very ground from which you walk, the very air which you breathe. It is the core of who you are. The frantic energy of the world can no longer touch this core because you have learned to distinguish the weather from the sky. You are the sky. The storms of life may rage, the clouds of thought and emotion may pass, but you remain the vast, silent, and witnessing sky. Your peace is no longer conditional on external circumstances. It is unconditional because it is not something you have. It is something you are. There is a powerful ancient metaphor for this state of being: the spinning wheel. Picture a great wooden wheel. The outer rim moves at a furious pace. It is a blur of motion, kicking up dust and debris. This is the external world, the events, the dramas, the deadlines, the ceaseless flow of information and demand. Connected to this frantic rim are the spokes. The spokes represent your reactive thoughts and emotions, your anxiety about the future, your attachments to outcomes, your judgments and opinions. They spin wildly, transferring the chaos of the outer rim directly to the center. For most of your life, you have identified with the spokes and the rim, believing that to be alive is to be in constant, frantic motion. But at the very center of the wheel is the hub, the axle. This point is utterly, profoundly still. It does not move. It cannot be disturbed. And yet, the entire movement of the wheel, all of its power and function, depends entirely on the stillness of this central point. The journey you have taken has been the journey from the frantic rim down through the chaotic spokes to the discovery of this silent, unmoving hub at the center of your own being. You are not the chaos. You are the stillness that allows the chaos to be. Your work now, for the rest of your life, is to live from this center. How do you maintain this connection in the rush of a busy day? You do it not through grand, time-consuming gestures, but through a series of small, almost secret, sacred pauses. You learn to sprinkle your day with micro-doses of stillness. Before you answer a ringing phone, take one single conscious breath, in and out. Recenter yourself in the hub before engaging with the spoke. Before you step out of your car to walk into your workplace, pause for just 3 seconds. Feel the weight of your body in the seat. Feel your feet on the floor. Reconnect with your physical presence. In the middle of a stressful task, turn your head and look out a window for a moment. Notice the shape of a cloud, the color of the sky, the movement of a leaf on a tree. This is not an escape from your work. It is an anchor into a deeper reality that holds your work. These tiny pauses, woven into the fabric of your day, are acts of remembrance. They are a constant, gentle returning to the hub. They prevent you from getting lost in the spinning madness of the rim. They are the threads that keep you tethered to your silent core. By living from this still point, your entire engagement with the world transforms. You do not become passive or detached. On the contrary, you become more effective, more present, and more powerfully engaged than ever before. You can navigate challenges with a calm and creative mind because you are not blinded by panic. You can hold space for the emotional storms of others without getting swept away yourself because you are anchored in your own peace. You bring a quality of presence, a quiet authority to everything you do. This, finally, is the true meaning of power. It is not the power to control the world, but the power to remain unshaken within it. This is not the end of your work. The end of this shared journey is the true beginning of your life's practice. You have found the compass. You have felt the strength of the anchor. You now hold the map to your own center. The turning world awaits. Go now and walk in it, not as a victim of its motion, but as the graceful, silent, and unshakable still point at its very heart. We began this journey together in a room filled with noise. A room crowded with the relentless echoes of the past, the anxious whispers of the future, and the harsh judgments of a world that never stops talking. You were lost in that room, believing you were the echoes, tossed about by the chaotic symphony of your own mind. Look at that room now. The echoes may still arise. The whispers may still attempt to surface. The world has not grown quieter, but you have changed. You are no longer the prisoner cowering in the corner, trying to fight the noise. You have come to realize the most profound truth of all. You are not the echoes. You are the room. You are the vast, silent, and unbreakable space in which all sounds arise and inevitably dissolve. The noise has no power over the silence that contains it. The room has not changed, but your place within it has been forever transformed. You have remembered your own vastness. Do not believe that this journey is a single, final destination. Do not be discouraged when the mind's storm returns, for it will. There will be days when the winds of anxiety blow hard and the clouds of old habits gather on the horizon. This is part of the human dance. But you are no longer a ship without a rudder, lost at sea. You now possess the anchor of your breath, capable of holding you steady in any storm. You now hold the compass of your intuition, always pointing toward your true north. You have learned that you are the sky, not the passing weather. The true measure of your strength is not found in a life without storms, but in the unwavering knowledge of how to navigate them. The power is not in never getting lost. The power is in the quiet confidence that you always know the way back home to the silence within. This is not an ending. It is the true beginning. You have been given the tools, but now you must use them to build your life. You have been shown the path, but now you must walk it with your own 2 feet. Let this silence be your offering to the world. Let it inform your actions. Let it soften your gaze. Let it deepen your love. Carry this stillness with you, not as a fragile treasure to be protected, but as an inexhaustible wellspring from which you draw your strength, your clarity, and your grace. The work is not done. The work has just begun. The silence is now yours. Carry it well.